Chapter 360 Best Steward Beneath Heaven. Chapter 360 Best Steward Beneath Heaven. Elite Coder. The man in yellow gown walked slowly towards the throne as the servants on either side followed with deep bows. He looked quite thin, but his bright eyes looked at everyone present. Lingering ever so slightly longer on the Luo clan, this man was the current emperor of the Tianyu Empire. May your majesty live a long and prosperous life. The instant he took his seat, the 8 groups bowed. The emperor waved. As everyone knows, I have called you all here today to bear witness and rejoice, by the grace of Tianyu's ancestors, to the rise of a new house in our empire. Tianyu has survived the past 1,000 years in no small part due to our 7 houses' assistance, bringing stability and prosperity, safeguarding peace along the ages. In all these years, the imperial family dared not neglect its duty, looking for talents to defend the well-being of its people. That is the purpose of the esoteric debate, to see a clan rise up and make Tianyu great. I am sad to say that this has never happened. We are fortunate that the heavens finally took pity on us and my rule, and presented us with a new house, working alongside the 7 houses in strengthening our foundation. This is a blessing to myself, to the nation, and to everyone else. Congratulations, Your Majesty. The land shall grow even stronger. Everyone bowed. Luo clan did the same with humility. We dare not accept Your Majesty's praise. Everyone present knew this was just a high-class act, and thus was shortly ignored. Even those who had never seen this new house knew that the 7 houses never stopped fighting among each other since the empire's foundation. What working together? More like stabbing each other's backs. With the coming of the 8th house, the fights would only grow bitter. A prime example was the 2 houses duking it out at the ruler's gates while the emperor was saying all that. The empire was in fact on the verge of collapse, hanging by a thread. He didn't believe what he himself said, and neither did those people who were bowing. It was all make-believe. Despite all of this, neither side was about to unravel the white lie. These were appearances and decorum that had to be maintained, or poking holes in the paper-thin charade would lead to Tianyu going up in flames, something no one wanted. The emperor looked at them one more time and smiled. Praise heavens! The imperial palace guards came forward and prepared the incense. The emperor bowed before it and even began reading a prayer. It was more or less being thankful to the heavens for the prosperity of Tianyu. While every paper was perused, an hour passed by, and the rest rose up along with the emperor. He took his rightful place on the throne with traces of sweat on his brow, a clear indication that he was reaching the limit of his life. He knew that, yet he would still put on a cheerful face. Good. After we showed our respects to heaven and earth, we then have the Son of Heaven, which is myself. Luo clan's head, Luo Yunhai, stepped forward. Yes, Your Majesty. Luo Yunhai stepped down on one knee. Young Luo Yunhai, your father has been taken from you at an early age, yet with your bravery and resolve, you have led the clan forward alone. You have followed Marshal Dugu in battle and showed marvelous skill in the esoteric debate. You are a true model of Tianyu's heroes. I bestow upon the Luo clan the title of the 8th noble house. Wingay City shall be your domain along with the 100 cities around it. You shall be known as Regent of Prosperity, allowed to own a prince's manor in the imperial capital. Raising his head, Luo Yunhai was bug-eyed, and so were the rest, looking at the emperor in disbelief. None of them expected for Luo Yunhai to actually become a nobleman and even have a title. Among the 7 houses, only Regent Estate had the marquis title because they were related to the imperial family, but Luo clan was a run-down, third-rate clan, and it had just jumped in front of everyone with the title of prince. Only Zhuge Changfeng, Zhuo Fan, and Leng Wucheng understood. The emperor wanted to place the Regent Estate and Luo clan on opposite fronts, since the world couldn't hold both of them. So 2 of the 8 houses could only have one boss. 2 kings was 1 king too many. The emperor's title came with vile intentions. Not that Zhuo Fan gave a hoot, since his sole plan for Regent Estate was to drag it out. and regent estate wasn't about to sway under the emperor's taunt. So when the tripartite division took shape, all those titles became empty words. On the contrary, the 100 cities offered made Zhuo Fan pleased as a punch what was of greatest importance in the cultivation world. Resources: 100 cities included the mountain range close by and the tens of spirit mines and endless herbs it offered. And all of that was the house's private property, adding to that a part of the empire as well. Luo clan would soar with so many resources. It would no longer need its ally support. It had finally gained independence. This was why many clans wanted to curry favor with the houses. Without resources, they'd wither and die, and these resources were either the empire's or the house's monopoly on the resources controlled Tianyu's clan's development. With Luo clan having 100 cities to its name, if the clans wanted to join it, they'd have to move to the border. Zhuo Fan finally showed a twisted smile. 2 servants came before Luo Yunhai, offering him a golden cape, embroidered with a majestic dragon. It only missed the 4 claws, or it'd be just like the prince's. This was a symbol that showed the house was equal to the imperial family, not to mention Luo Yunhai was a regent. "Thank you, your majesty." Luo Yunhai bowed. The emperor nodded and turned to his sister. "Young Miss Luo, come forward." Luo Yunchang was stunned. A male would take on the mantle of clan head along with titles. So where was he going by calling her? Luo Yunchang still kneeled. "May your majesty live a long and prosperous life." Luo Yunchang, dignified and virtuous, strong and loyal. After the misfortune that befell your clan, you held strong against all adversity, raising your little brother and guiding the clan. You are a model of virtue to all of Tianyu. I take you as my goddaughter, naming you Princess Yongin, and expect you to become a good sister with my daughter Yongning in safeguarding Tianyu. Luo Yunchang turned to Yongning hiding behind the princes, who stared blankly back at her. Neither expected that from the emperor. They were to be sisters. Your majesty, I would never. This is an imperial decree. The emperor cut her off with a stern face. Luo Yunchang sighed. Then I shall accept. The emperor beamed and Luo Yunchang withdrew. Luo clan steward, Zhuo Fan, step forth. When everyone thought the award ceremony was over, the emperor called one more time. Zhuo Fan was puzzled. He was just a steward, not the Luo clan head. Why is he giving me something? But since the emperor decreed, he could only oblige and gave a half bow. Mayor, you dare not bow before his majesty. A sharp cry pierced the ears of everyone. Zhuo Fan looked on with a frown at the servant next to the emperor, and his face grew cold. You're the one with the nerve calling it to attention when the emperor said nothing, trying to kiss someone's ass. Do you think of yourself better than the emperor? No, his majesty. The servant panicked. They had always been next to the emperor and basked in second-hand glory. Getting used to pushing others around, they were proxies dishing out the emperor's orders. But as long as the emperor didn't say anything, anything went. Perhaps they were even doing what his majesty intended, while other scared people never dared to refute in fear of the emperor's anger. But Zhuo Fan was a tough nut to crack. Would the grand demonic emperor from the sacred domain kneel before a no-name emperor from the mortal domain? The servant was way out of his league messing with him, especially when he knew the emperor needed him, and wouldn't sweat this particular detail. The emperor waved and smiled at Zhuo Fan. Then, Zhuo Fan, why do you not kneel? My knees are wounded. With your majesty's brilliant and wise character, I'm sure you won't pressure the future house's steward. Zhuo Fan's words were a work of art, throwing the emperor's words right back at him. In layman's terms, you just called us irreplaceable in order to strengthen the nation's foundation. So why the hell would you nitpick? Only a poor ruler would do that. Won't that shame you? Won't you lose Tianyu's respect? Those words even contained a hint of threat. Luo Yunchang lowered her head, filled with worry and anger at Zhuo Fan's crass act. Before the mighty emperor, you kneel when spoken to. What the hell are you doing looking for an early death? Offending the imperial family will give us a death sentence. She was unaware that this was a fine balance not even the emperor wished to break. since he didn't want to let Regent Estate come out on top. Hence, Zhuo Fan's leverage was very much real. Giving him a long look, the emperor smiled. You truly are a worthy steward for the Luo clan, Zhuo Fan. Your reputation precedes you. Then, Zhuo Fan will receive your title. The emperor coughed and shouted, Steward Zhuo Fan of the Luo clan, you are a man of bravery and wisdom, holding your clan together through hard times, loyal and caring. A pillar of the empire! I bestow upon you the title Best Steward under Heavens, wielding the power of the 3 armies and the bearer of my authority. SSS. The people gasped in shock. Even Zhuo Fan. Chapter 361. Emperor's Invite. Chapter 361. Emperor's Invite. Elite Coder. What did the best steward under heavens mean? His orders were second to the emperor in court, and he was the supreme commander of the 3 armies. He was literally beneath the emperor, and above the world he was the epitome of power, a prime minister and marshal in one, albeit with the emperor standing above him still. With how the imperial reign was built on this authority alone, it was no different than capitulating the very ground that was holding his throne. Dugu Zhantian's eyes twitched, looking at the emperor with a dumb look. Zhuge Changfeng was doing the same, albeit with a casual glance. The geezer's plan is obvious. He wants to give Zhuo Fan a power even above that of the 4 pillars. As a prime minister, he had figured out the old schemer on the spot. The emperor wanted to balance the factions. His reign had been steady all these years because of Dugu Zhantian and me. But won't this trouble addict, who goes on withdrawal if he doesn't cause a mess once every 3 days, have all this power go to his head and blow everything sky high? Or maybe... Zhuge Changfeng squinted, scoffing inside. The old coot can't take it anymore. He wants to speed up the chaos by getting the monkey added incentive to do just that, and flip the board while he is at it. While Long Wucheng tensed, his heart was resentful. He had already guessed what the emperor was up to, but that didn't mean he liked it. He was Regent Estate's steward, the one famed across the whole empire as unwanted contriver, yet for a neophyte to suddenly call himself best steward under heavens didn't sit quite right with him. To say the least, though, Zhuo Fan's deceit and shrewdness had him pensive. By right, that title should be his. Sunk into depression, Lung Wucheng took a deep breath, twice, to regain his cool. He looked at Zhuo Fan with jealousy and greed. Present the violet mantle. The emperor had spoken. A servant responded on point. Presenting a plate with a purple cape and golden thread, the cape was unraveled, presenting a golden dragon with its 4 claws in the corners, while also a hint of a possible 5th claw. On a visibly empty pattern, the imperial family's robe was characterized by dragon claws. It was a symbol of their rank, authority, and power, for made one a prince, while 5 lifted him to be the son of heaven, an emperor. This cape was proof that Zhuo Fan was just shy of having the entire empire at his feet. Such controversy would never have stood, since it held a strong feeling of outrage and rebellion against the current court, yet the emperor himself bestowed Zhuo Fan with this contradiction. It went on to show that along with the best steward under heavens, Zhuo Fan was truly beneath the emperor in both name and power. Not even the 7 houses, princes, or even crown prince could compare. Crown prince trembled and finally fell to one knee. Imperial father, this is most unbecoming. Please reconsider. The rest followed his example, shouting in unison, Please reconsider, your majesty. I order you to stand down. The emperor's piercing, cold tone sent shivers down their backs. They could not defy him. The emperor was the son of heaven. His word was solid gold. No man could sway his mind. They were all awakened to this simple, yet painful truth, knowing any persuasion would fall on deaf ears. Without further ado, Zhuo Fan was entitled as the first steward beneath heaven, his glorious radiance stabbing the eyes of all below, while also pricking no few hearts with discontent now that Zhuo Fan had both power and right. Any defiance would be ill-advised in a manner of speaking. He could stick the imperial family's army on anyone's ass at the drop of a hat. Pilking Hall and Mary Woods exchanged a pained glance. They never gave Juafan and Luo clan a second thought up till now. Yet against fierce adversity they had become a behemoth. If only they'd known, they'd have it snuffed in its cradle. Regent Estate took this news quite well. Too well, in fact. That was because they knew something everyone else didn't. Juafan's title was totally void of authority. The emperor didn't stop at Juafan's cape, showering the other high-value members of the Luo clan with a title each, albeit far lesser than the first three. It was all so that the people would recognize who the Luo clan was, to open their beady eyes in the face of greatness and not step on their toes even still. There was one teeny-tiny matter that had everyone's dumbstruck faces on full display. While Pilking Hall and Drifting Flowers edifices were slack-jawed Luo clan's second elder, Pillhouse elder, was vicious Pilking Yen Song. Even the emperor was taken aback. Didn't Juafan waste him? What's he doing as Luo clan's elder? The emperor gave Juafan a deep look. Steward Jua, you fooled the entire world for 8 years with your devious schemes. Just how many secrets are you hiding? Ha ha ha, please don't kid your majesty. With your majesty's astute mind, how could I possibly hide anything? Juafan bowed. The emperor shook his head. He wouldn't be the emperor if he believed every outright lie. This kid's tricks are so twisted, even I am getting a headache. With inconceivable matters cropping up one after another, fear crept within the emperor's heart. Without even realizing it, this pawn he nurtured for so long had outgrown his control. I hope this game will still play out. The emperor sighed inwardly. After 4 to 6 hours of dishing awards and titles, the ceremony came to a close. The emperor had the clans leave the imperial palace, but not without a bow from them and a deep respect towards the Luo clan. This new house was budding, yet it was very much capable. It had both experts and alchemists at the top of their fields. Even their steward had surpassed the wisest steward of all, unwanted contriver, and became known as the best steward beneath heaven's. A team such as this, excelling in power and management, was bound to hit it big. There were quite a number of clans entertaining the thought of bending a knee for the Luo clan after the ceremony that went double after seeing their ranks. Of the Luo clan's elders, Lei Yuntian was the weakest, yet a grand elder. Second elder Yen Song was even in front of those radiant stage experts. These two were a complete discrepancy for the powerhouses around them. That lineup was like a flare to the people. This told everyone that the Luo clan was an honorable clan. First come, first served. Then again, one would always pick a true helper in favor of a poser. This had the clans competing to get into the Luo clan's graces, rather than see it played out first. Luo clan had it made. No doubt about it. Luo clan was also the only one who made such strong elders work, all made possible by the grace and power of their steward, Juafan. Was there anyone among the elders who dared show discontent for their positions? To another clan, such a huge discrepancy in power would have ended up in infightings. Didn't might always make right. Yet in the Luo clan, that right was worth shit. Any and all that dared preach such an outdated philosophy were served a huge piece of humble pie on a silver platter. Juafan, walk with me. Juafan was leaving with the Luo clan when an aged voice called him. He turned to meet the emperor's steel gaze with a deep breath and a nod. As if expecting it, he went with the old man. The two arrived at a pavilion in the imperial gardens. The emperor took a seat on a stone chair and invited him to do the same. This is where I and Mr. Sima play chess. Here, we're simple people without rank. Please make yourself at home. With a raised eyebrow, Juafan plopped his butt on the chair, then took a casual bite out of a fruit he picked from the platter. He really was at home. The servant at the side almost blew a gasket. That was His Majesty's courtesy. Not for you to take it literally. Not even Mr. Sima, being friends with His Majesty for ages, would be so crass. Not that the emperor cared, smiling as a grandpa did for his dotted grandson. Juafan, I've heard so much about you, but this is our first meeting. The emperor smiled. Juafan just nodded. The emperor laughed. I first heard of you from my third son. He said that Luo clan has a clever steward helping them and that I needn't worry. Thus I supported this new clan. As for your ability, I never gave it a second thought. How strong can a third-rate, broken-up clan's clever steward become? I mean, the scope was just so limited, it was impossible for it to grow. Wouldn't you agree? The emperor chatted as he looked at Zhuo Fan with a smile. Zhuo Fan gave a curt nod again, sure enough. Before meeting face to face, all information was about the clan itself. How one's view changed depended on one's position. Since no clan had ever come out of a border town like Wingay City, what scope, what ambition could this one have? Even he would jump to the same conclusion, given the chance. He'd have the same disinterest in Luo clan, and himself upon hearing of them, it was this lack of vigilance that made people like him be the ones in control. Or if Hell Valley or any other house focused on his clan, death was certain. Unable to grow into what it was today, there was no one to blame here. Hell Valley was not some fool to let the Luo clan slip through its fingers. It was Zhuo Fan's uncanny mind to come up with some of the most insane and mystifying plans. Chapter 362, Paving the Way. Chapter 362, Paving the Way. Elite Coder. However, killing Yugiki in Blue Expanse City gave me quite a shock. With a deep breath, the Emperor looked to the heavens, a faint smile traced across his face. The only thing on my mind in those days was how could the third mind of Tianyu, Hell Valley's schemer, die at the hands of a nobody. It was then that I began to take notice of you. I reckon I was among the minority who held you in such high regard. Zhuo Fan secretly sighed. He planned to keep his head low back then, to build up his strength and avoid unwelcome scrutiny. But then Ninger showed up, and the circumstances forced him to go all out. Then Hell Valley followed up with their kill order, harassing him on every step. Come to think of it, he wasn't all that level-headed as he believed, but a mindless savage charging through. But I liked the charge, so staunch, so invigorating. In reply to his thoughts, the Emperor patted his shoulder. You don't have to feel sorry, I understand. A patient man like you would never face such strong enemies, so early. But as gold can't dull its radiance, or how a diamond can't hide among the sand, you too will meet with these events, whether you like it or not. Only, your radiance is perhaps a bit too gaudy. Even I was almost blinded. Ha ha ha. The Emperor continued. After my poor heart calmed down at last, months later, you pulled another one. You wrecked Drifting Flower City and killed 3 house elders. That scared me. I wanted to build the Luo clan up to strike a balance, but you, the chick I had been raising, almost bit a wolf to death. You were close to ruining everything. I was wondering if renouncing your clan would be the better part of valor. Many apologies, Your Majesty. I was too reckless and almost wasted Your Majesty's hard work. I am ashamed of myself. Zhuo Fan bowed slightly and cupped his hands, yet his mind was thinking the opposite. His words feel sincere but lack any truth. He goes on and on about balance and stuff, but from today's attitude, he wants anything but. All he wants is chaos. Actions speak louder than any sweet words. Zhuo Fan had drilled this lesson into Lei Yuding for years, being a devoted follower of this, saying himself hence. In reply to the Emperor's convoluted speech, his mind was that of a mirror, not so easily pulled under. The Emperor's eyes shined with wisdom. Then he laughed. Ha ha ha, it's fine. It's all in the past, anyway. It was only then that I realized my son was right. You truly are a man of many talents. How else could you have incited so much chaos? And so I came to a bold and radical decision. Do you know why I sent Marshal Dugu to Wingay City for rescue? I am moved to tears by Your Majesty's extreme favor for my Luo clan. Zhuo Fan's bow was on point, shaking his head. The Emperor gave a vague smile. No, it wasn't for the Luo clan, but for you. I am shocked and dare not accept such praise. Ha ha ha. Is there anything you won't dare to do? I wholly appreciate your strength. The next set of events only proved that my decision to send 1,000,000 soldiers in defense of one man was the right approach. You haven't let me down. He held Zhuo Fan's shoulder. Showering him in praise, Zhuo Fan lowered his head. The emperor squinted, watching, scrutinizing, and only now he came back to the main topic. Zhuo Fan, I have called you here to come to an understanding between us. Command me, your majesty. Zhuo Fan's bow came again. What do you think of becoming the prime minister? Shuddering, Zhuo Fan was stunned inside, but he put on a quizzical face. Your majesty, the empire already has Prime Minister Zhuge. Why? Ha ha ha. Of the empire's 3 great minds, Yu Giki only knew how to manipulate and scheme, a disgrace. Lung Wuchang has the talent, but a petty character that lacks any drive. Prime Minister Zhuge is the best candidate. Holding his office for decades, his conduct exemplary. Only he is just like me, old. Once I'm gone, am I to just leave an old man behind as support, to drag his feet and the nation? It is not something I want to see, and I'm sure my successor would be in agreement as well. Quirking an eyebrow, Zhuo Fan got the gist. The emperor wanted to pave the way for his son, the new emperor. As with any new emperor who took over the throne, their position will be shaky. With a wily old fox like Zhuge Changfeng around, with a cunning mind and wielder of power, the emperor's 3 sons would fall like flies. It would be an age of a weak ruler with strong followers. How could the Yuan clan ever hold on to Tianyu? Ha ha ha, it'll change hands, of course. This was where Zhuo Fan came in. He had no basis in the court, so even if a new emperor cropped up, the case would be that of a strong ruler and a weak follower, him ending up as the new emperor's pawn on the other hand. Zhuo Fan was more than capable of filling the job of handling national affairs. Getting a 3rd-rate clan to become a house in a mere decade tended to give one just enough credibility. So when the emperor came up with this proposition, he took everything into account. Staring straight at him, the emperor spoke. Zhuo Fan, I've seen the path you've taken to reach here. You are no weaker than Zhuge Changfeng, perhaps even better. At your age, he was but an ignorant bookworm. I believe you will surpass him in the future and become an even better leader of the 4 pillars. You becoming a prime minister will benefit the whole nation. I have made you the best steward beneath heavens, all so you could guide Tianyu's future for me. The emperor's eyes were honest. Zhuo Fan's eyes shook. He couldn't see through him, but one thing he did know. The emperor definitely had something else stored in his mind, and it was time to lay it out in the open. But your majesty, as you know, I have a dragon soul. Being in court, won't I and the imperial family collide? Zhuo Fan was quite tactful, yet it held the same meaning as Huang Pu Qingtian back then. Providence made me king, yet you're not scared I'd take it all away. Ha ha ha. The emperor was calm. Dragon Vein Soul is a creature of the world. My family had it quelled for generations to safeguard Tianyu's prosperous future. By itself, it means nothing. Why else would we place Regent Estate as a guardian of Caged Dragon City, yet be fearless of them taking the dragon souls for themselves and stealing our rule? Remind me again, who is it that killed Huang Pu Qingtian, the one calling himself heaven's gift upon this world? He who had a dragon soul as well? Ha ha ha. Destiny has always been in our own 2 hands. If posterity works hard and loves their nation, Tianyu will thrive, its people will be happy. But if an unruly successor is brash and decadent, how can Tianyu survive? Destiny, heaven, all are empty words. If I advocate such superstition, I wouldn't have needed to work myself to the bone over its future, now would I? Zhuo Fan nodded. This emperor's words make damn perfect sense. Even he believed it, as what was cooking in the old head of this emperor, not even he knew in the end. Zhuo Fan cupped his hands. Your Majesty, give me some time to consider. Sure, take all the time you need. Though I do hope you will serve your country and live up to the title I bestowed upon you. The emperor gave a genial smile. Even Zhuo Fan was slightly touched if everything the emperor said today were lies. Then he was no emperor, but an evil spawn. Zhuo Fan took his leave with a bow. The emperor watched him go with a peculiar smile. Whoosh. 2 old men appeared on his sides, Feng Qiubai and Sima Hui. After a customary bow, Sima Hui began. Your Majesty, the princess has returned safely. Yongning only knows how to make me worry. If not for Zhuo Fan, God knows what would have happened to her. Sighing, he brightened. He sure was fond of this willful daughter of his Feng Qiubai side. I had never dreamt Zhuo Fan would reach such power in just a few days. I fear he has already surpassed us. What a little monster. Humph, why stop there? He is clearly like the peak radiant stage Zhuge Changfeng, versed in pen and the sword. The emperor squinted, then was taken by a coughing fit. Cough, bring me a quill and paper. Yes. The servant complied. At once the emperor wrote just a few big words on the paper, his sons' names. His eyes grew heavy looking at them, but they steeled in the end. Tell me everything that's happened, including the three's reactions. Yes. Feng Qiubai presented the whole affair at the 9 gates with intricate detail. The emperor grumbled to himself, then picked up a red quill and hovered over the crowned prince's name. One must be collected to have a way with words, to adhere to the ancestors' teachings. These are the qualities of a ruler, he said as he circled the name 3 times, yet sighed in the end. But why do I feel you're being so stubborn? You will tire the people, Sai. The emperor then crossed him out once and went to his second son's name to circle it twice. You are bold and benevolent, firm and ambitious, yet rude, rash and greedy. One day you will end up being used. Humph. The emperor crossed him 3 times, his beard trembling in anger. He is not fit for power. Finally coming on to the 3rd name, he hesitated, yet only drew a question mark. Your Majesty, what Feng Qiubai was stunned the emperor spoke. I know you side with him, but my 3 sons need to be observed for longer, especially the 3rd. I fail to comprehend him. Lest the road I've paved with so much sweat and blood will lead to the nation's collapse in the hands of a decadent successor, and I will never know rest. Sighing, the emperor grew sad. He hoped? No. Wished there was one among his sons just half as shrewd as Zhuo Fan. He would then pass on his title in peace. Chapter 363, Big Cheese. Chapter 363, Big Cheese. Elite Coder. Captain Pang. I am from the Jia clan of Westfall City. I've heard so much about the great Luo clan and wish to give my respects to the young regent. Please pass this message along. A youth in lavish clothes stood before a lofty gate as he made a deep bow to Pang. He had just finished when a kick smacked his ass way out of bounds. A wretched man spat in contempt. Humph! Another 3rd-rate clan comes out of the woodworks to latch onto the Luo clan? Not on my watch. The man switched to an amiable face on the spot as he presented a vial to Pang. I hail from the Bai clan of Cold Edge City. I only wish to have the fortune of serving the Luo clan. Please send my kind regards. This is a 5th-grade pill, Heaven Pill. It will assist you in entering the profound heaven stage. I'm sure you must find my meager goodwill laughable. Pah! Not before getting cut off with a resounding slap to the face, which sent him spinning 3 meters into the air with a swelling face in his place, was an upright and icy old man. Humph, by clan? Just some thieves under Hell Valley, now wanting to get into the Regent of Prosperity's good graces. That's the same as letting a spy in. My humble self comes from Seashore City's Wong clan. I will never allow such a disgrace to foul my eyes. The old man walked forth aloof and self-important, flicking his sleeve and bearing only respect. I pledge my life to safeguard the Luo clan. I will make sure no bastard sets foot in. The old guy's act was cut short with a groan. He looked behind him to see a rough palm slam his chest. Captain Pang eyed him coldly, his smile wicked. Did I let you in? He put more force into his hand and threw the old guy a dozen meters. The old man crawled to his feet and started cursing. How can you resort to violence so easily? Attacking when you feel like it. I even helped you get rid of a spy. You mean that guy? Captain Pang mocked. What spy is he when we haven't even taken him in yet? The old guy was about to yap on, but the flood of people came from behind in waves. The crafty ones even kicked him for good measure, to lessen the competition. Damn geezer, don't take the high road with me for your own social climbing. Your Wang clan must really want to get in the Luo clan's graces to have come so early. Yeah, so stop blocking the way. We, the Fong clan, pledge ourselves as Luo clan's errand boys. We call dibs. Oh, Captain Pang, here is my clan's legacy, a 4th-grade spiritual weapon. Please pass this message to the regent. Pei, you call that a gift? The Luo clan, head of the 8 noble houses, uses them for toothpicks. Captain Pang, I present to you a genuine and uncontested 6th-grade heavenly treasure. I hope you could put in a few words for us to the young regent. In front of the huge building, people were coming from all around in droves, turning the entrance into a flea market. The plaque above the gate had Regent of Prosperity's compound. Written on it in bright gold, it was the place that the emperor bestowed upon Luo Yunhai in the imperial capital. By the way, it was also his current address, with the Luo clan receiving the greatest honor in the ceremony. Not that the power displayed while sitting on the head of the 7 houses had anything to with it. They were, by right, uplifted to the rank of the head of the 8 houses. Hence, your run-of-the-mill Aravista clans rushed in like moths to the flame for a chance to serve under the new young regent, wanting their fame and power to rub off on them too, to bask in second-hand authority, to ride their coattails, and to push other people around for a change. But with how a literal flood was at their gates and Zhuo Fan had yet to return, Luo Yunchang dropped the headache on Captain Pang to stem the waterworks. Yet these guys didn't know when to quit, sticking around despite any harsh rebuttal, as if the only way forward was to be on the Luo clan side. Captain Pang was laughing it up inside. He'd be touched if it happened when the Luo clan was in dire straits. But now, humph, they're nothing more than selfish pricks. This is. A bewildered voice announced Zhuo Fan's coming, guided here by an imperial servant. But the horde of people had him blank out for a second there. He got the drift the next second, though. Sigh, the world is full of hypocrites. It's the best steward beneath heaven, Steward Zhuo. Someone noticed Zhuo Fan and shrieked like a fangirl, setting him in the sights of the mob. Steward Zhuo, take us in. My clan is eternally loyal to yours. Steward Zhuo, forget about him. Take me. My clan is first-rate, an asset in battle. We'll charge the enemy alongside and will fulfill your orders to the letter. On and on it went as the human sea outdid itself in being first. They almost had Zhuo Fan swallowed in the maelstrom. Their fanatic and crazed looks were burning his skin, face twitching. Zhuo Fan's choice was for his right eye to flash golden, and poof, out of existence, divine eye of the void's first stage, shift. Whoosh, and wink back into existence, next to Captain Pang, stop them. Zhuo Fan said as he went inside. Captain Pang grinned, not to worry. Not a single one will pass me. The crazed fan base saw their quarry gone from their sight and were bug-eyed. That's Steward Zhuo's power. That's so awesome. Some girls swooned. Too cool. Zhuo Fan, I want your babies. That gave the start to the second wave upon the Regent compound's gates. But old, faithful Captain Pang barred their way as well. The wraith art had toughened him up more than enough to make sure not a single rat snuck in leaving the crazed mob behind. Zhuo Fan walked towards the gate. While still hearing their frantic calls, Luo clan was now the big cheese in town. From big to small, from court to independent officials, everyone looked at it with reverence. It had been his goal all along, and yet he couldn't stem the worry gnawing his mind. He knew the old adage well. After woe came weal. Yet the opposite applied just the same. They were in vogue across the entire nation, close to being a national role model. But this fame could very well turn bleak very fast. I bet that old emperor can't wait for us to fall. Zhuo Fan bore a cold smile. Too bad that the Luo clan has me as their steward. It will never conform to your wishes. You're not the only player on the national chessboard. I am as well. He stuck out his chest and strutted into the lounge. Besides the Luo siblings, there were some old friends waiting. His 3 allies, Zhuo Fan, you're back at last. We've been waiting for ages. Luo Yunchang went ahead to welcome him with a sweet smile. Zhuo Fan smiled back and greeted everyone with cupped hands. Forgive my late arrival. That old coot just kept running his mouth, forcing me to make you all wait. Huh. Long Yifei and the others were about to give a courteous reply, but the words got stuck in their throat across the whole of Tianyu. The only guy who had the balls to call the emperor an old coot would probably be him alone, his outstanding peers. Long Xingyun and Xie Tianshang were there as well, but were sharp enough to keep quiet. They were still vexed whether Zhuo Fan was still their peer. Sure, the age fits, but what about their levels? He's so awesome, going about doing this and that, not putting anyone in his eyes. So why is it that we have to be cautious all the time stuck behind him? Guess the fact that his current achievement was all done with his own 2 hands had something to do with it. While they had their house behind them, he had to carry himself. Yet, had still achieved the impossible. Such a gap couldn't be bridged, the thought, had these young heroes fall into depression. God, all these comparisons are mortifying. Luo Yunchang looked off too, pinching him with all she had. Can't you be more considerate? Do you want to die defaming the emperor all the time? Don't tell me you're afraid of Pavilion Lord Long and the rest ratting on us. Zhuo Fan giggled at them. The old guys shook their heads at once. How could we? Brother Zhuo, please don't joke. Zhuo Fan eyed them. I am not one to pay attention to my tone, you know, but that doesn't make me a fool. At least I know how to choose my words. I only said that about the emperor, knowing fully well that you won't snitch. Like I said once, you've helped me over the last decade, and the Luo clan will become your strongest backer. The 10 years have yet to pass, but Luo clan has already become the only house capable of standing against the regent estate. If Luo clan falls, what about all of you? We are now roped together in this. There's no way for you to sell me out, so I trust you the most. Am I right? Zhuo Fan laughed, slowly devolving into a cackle. All while the oldies bobbed their heads, they felt quite awkward before this new house, now that Luo clan was far above them. With a whole future ahead of it, they felt insecure, thinking they'd be thrown away like dead weights. This guy has done in 10 years what we couldn't in 1,000. Is there anything he can't do? All the more reason that these veterans, instead of having the same guts they showed before Regent Estate, made double sure to weigh every word and gesture before letting out. That went double for Zhuo Fan. It dawned on them that Zhuo Fan's ever self-important reaction, his kingly air, was on a whole another level than even Huangpu Tianyuan or Leng Wuchang. Reading them like a book, Zhuo Fan smiled. No need to be so tense. We're all old friends, having gone through thick and thin. Luo clan will never forget that. Unlike Regent Estate, you can feel safe with us. We won't turn on you once we reach the top. Oh, how come I don't see Edifice, Lord Chu? To ease the tense mood, Zhuo Fan switched topics, yet this question had grandmother and the rest sputtering, trying to find the right answer. Chapter 364, Sea Phantom Wing. Chapter 364, Sea Phantom Wing. Elite Coder. Did something happen? Zhuo Fan's heart tightened. Grandmother shook her hands with a dry laugh. Ha ha ha, Steward Zhuo, she's fine. She's just in seclusion. Seclusion? The esoteric debate has ended, and the strife of the 8 houses has begun. What's she, the house lord, doing goddamn secluding herself? His stare bore into grandmother's group, noticing their reactions were off. He knew something was up, but his questioning was cut off by the sudden booming voice of old Pang. Their Highnesses, the Crown Prince and Third Prince, have arrived. Startled, Long Yifei and the rest looked on curiously. The Crown Prince always abides by his ancestors' teachings and hardly ever visits the noble houses. Why is this time different, openly disobeying the tradition and coming to the 8th house? Grandmother gave Zhuo Fan a hard look and drew a conclusion. Either he must feel his position threatened and was forced to intervene, or the Luo clan must be so radiant that even the Grand Crown Prince has to bask in its glory. Scratching his nose, Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed. I've seen him once, and he left me with an impression. He sticks to ethics, treating everyone fair, but he does it all with a clear purpose in mind. He is subtle and sharp, and won't get himself dragged into the house of strife. He's more of an old fox watching the fire burn from the sidelines. Yet he took the initiative of coming here by himself. To get close to us, he has a clear objective in mind. As to what, we'll just have to wait and see." His allies nodded. Zhuo Fan was cunning to the bone and calm even in this situation, earning their admiration. "Steward Zhuo, His Highness Crown Prince, has come to pay the Luo house a social visit, but he's sure to want to discuss something secret as well. It's best if we take our leave first." Xia Xiaofeng said. Zhuo Fan nodded, having Yan Fu lead them to another room. "Abode Lord Xia, you're so thoughtful." They left not a moment too soon, as in the next moment someone with a bright and crisp laughter entered. "Ha ha ha, Imperial brother, Imperial sister. Your prosperity compound is so lively. That crowd you have outside almost had even me blocked." Two golden men walked in with their attendants behind them. Crown Prince and Yuan Tsong. Zhuo Fan snickered inside at the sight of the first. He's good. The Emperor just made Luo House's siblings a regent and princess and grabbing the excuse. He came out of the woodworks in an instant, thus making the two feel awkward about shooing him away. Though they had no reservations about the second guy, Zhuo Fan turned to the ball of fat with a shake of his head, thinking back. Didn't the fatty drag him as well? These two are indeed related. Humph. "Please forgive my transgression of not coming out to welcome you, Your Highness." Luo Yunchang pulled her brother to bow before Yuan Bo, all while Zhuo Fan was standing behind them, looking bored and with nothing particularly important to do. Crown Prince ignored this obvious rudeness and instead helped the two up with a smile. "Please, we're all family now. You don't have to be so distant. Just call me elder brother." Luo Yunchang was startled. The siblings found him kind, amiable, and modest. They were overwhelmed with gratitude, however. Zhuo Fan's trained eye saw through the facade. He hadn't lived two lives for nothing. "Oh, Steward Zhuo, you, sir, have become the best steward beneath heavens as of today. You are in charge of all of Tianyu's affairs, beneath one man and above everyone else. Congratulations on having received such boundless glory. I know it is late, but please accept my acclaim." The Crown Prince went to Zhuo Fan and made a solemn and perfect bow, a 90 degrees down angle. If he were any more modest, he'd be on his knees by now. Everyone was shocked at his modesty. That person bowing there was His Highness Crown Prince. The only ones to receive such respect were either the Emperor or the Four Pillars. The 7 house lords were clearly exempt, yet here he was giving Zhuo Fan the greatest respect the imperial family could offer. Everyone looking at them felt touched by the gesture, all but Zhuo Fan, who wasn't buying any of that fake modesty, watched on with a cold eye and a curt nod. "Oh, I know. Next time be quicker about it." Blood almost spurted in waves as the people keeled over and laughed. It got a crack out of the bowing Crown Prince too. His face twitched and became red as a fireball. Yuan Tsong had the least control and cursed. "Brother, how can you step all over him? Elder brother offers you his sincere congratulations, and this is how you thank him? To be quicker about it? As if we're truly in the wrong here. He said he came late and asked for forgiveness. What? Didn't I forgive him, and now I can't even chew him out for it. What more do you want?" Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes. Blood was bound to flow if he kept this up. The fatty was so pissed that his lard and everything quaked. "You're nitpicking. Can't we ever get a simple, polite greeting out of you? Don't think that I won't. Won't what, beat me up? Bring it." Zhuo Fan snickered, flipping the fatty off and taunt. The fatty had smoke coming out of his ears. Oh, he wanted to put the prick in his place, but he was smart enough to know when he was outmatched, outclassed, though not outweighed. And so, while he looked positively charging, he had one greasy hand, by chance or not, holding Crown Prince's hand in such a way as if the other guy was pulling him, and then shouted, "Elder brother, don't stop me. I will put this punk in his place for what he did to you." The Crown Prince's mouth twitched. "I see why the old third has become sworn brothers with Zhuo Fan. Look at them. One has a flair for the dramatic, cocky, and obnoxious, sticking his nose higher than the heavens, even in front of me, the Crown Prince. The other is no better either. He's got no power, yet still wants to play pretend, pulling me into his act while he's at it. These two are like two peas in a pod, a bromance made in heaven. Contrary to his thoughts, he knew Juefan had the power to match the attitude. His only choice was to make friends with the guy. Thus he laughed. Ha ha ha. Steward Jua is so fresh and reasonable. I truly admire you. Old Third, that was my sincere apology, and what Steward Jua said was right. You can't interfere. Humph, consider yourself lucky that the elder brother has let you off. Next time, humph. The fatty flicked his sleeve, speaking that line like second nature, all while being close to having a panic attack inside. Oh, Mommy, I'm free at last. If I had fought with that freak, my modest 400 kilograms, that would have been tenderized. Juefan merely scoffed. They all returned to the lounge and sat. The Crown Prince clapped for his men to present his gift. Dozens of 8th grade ingredients and some 6-7th grade materials. These materials far outstripped even the diamond San Juefan, once called a genuine treasure. Among them, sea phantom wings stood out, the wings of a 7th-level spiritual beast, Abyss Phantom Butterfly. The Abyss Phantom Butterfly was exceedingly rare, haunting the black depths of the largest seas. It was ethereal, expert in using illusions, and swift in water. Not even a peak radiant stage expert could escape this creature's illusions, offering instead his soul for it to feast on, and these wings retained that special trait. These were far better than his former lightning wings. Both in strength and attack, the higher in stage a cultivator progressed, the more he trained his soul. Hence soul attacks were more sought after the sea phantom wings were a nightmare for any radiant stage expert, or even higher eyes fixed on the Crown Prince's gift. Juefan sighed. The imperial family must have a sizable treasury amassed over 1,000 years for a mere Crown Prince to present such an invaluable gift. The Crown Prince noticed his look and nodded with a smile. Steward Jua, I know you had lightning wings, but had come to lose them in the esoteric debate. Please kindly accept this gift I've prepared for you. Every reward is deserved. What does the Crown Prince wish for me to do in exchange? Juefan smiled. He was never a believer of free lunches, shaking his head. Crown Prince showed a vague smile. Steward Jua is a national hero, and the Luo clan is a national asset. I only wish for the two of us to work together for the safety of our empire. That is my humble request. Humph. More like having us as your lackeys. Cut the slick act. Juefan scoffed. Inside, the fatty urged, having long since exhausted what little patience he had. Just accept the elder brother's goodwill. What's there to consider? Won't it help you strive harder for Tianyu? This is a natural responsibility of the Luo clan, now a crucial part of our nation. Glancing at him, Juefan snickered, but nodded. He pegged the fatty as being on the Crown Prince's side for coming here together. But hearing him now changed his opinion. The Crown Prince wanted Luo clan to work with him for him. As for national safety and such gimmick, that came second. But the fatty's dumb act played out in ignorance, changed its content, making Luo clan working for Tianyu, and thus accepting the gift, fully deserving the way it went. What looked like fatty helping Crown Prince was in fact helping Luo clan escape Crown Prince's clutches. Striving for Tianyu and siding with the Crown Prince weren't semantics. Thus the Crown Prince's gift became a waste. The fatty was hiding himself. He is quite the shrewd guy. I wonder if the Crown Prince can read between the lines. Oh, he would be royally pissed if he could. Chapter 365 Parish. Chapter 365 Parish. Elite Coder. After a bit more chatting, the Crown Prince stood up and bowed before leaving. Juefan actually enjoyed sending him off for a change. Beaming from ear to ear, he was brimming with smugness, thinking that Crown Prince had yet to find out that the fatty sold him out, be that as it may. Juefan thought that taking such a grand gift for nothing was a tad bit awkward, not like it was his fault. It was that tub of lard to blame for ruining his elder brother's masterful scheme, while Juafan was off the hook. As for serving Tianyu, it was not a problem. Who's to say whom the future Tianyu belongs to? Snickering inside, Juafan watched the princes leave, then came back inside more refreshed than ever. As for those two brothers, they didn't get more than a stick's toss away when Crown Prince cupped his hands. Third brother, thank you for coming with me. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to make friends with the prideful steward Jua, even if I came as the Crown Prince. Don't be like that, elder brother. We're close, you and I. Of course, I'll help you out. The fatty slapped his flabby chest, shouting his bromance, yet in the next second, his beady eyes turned shifty. Elder brother, weren't you always against us getting close to the houses? Then why? Crown Prince sighed. You must think that I am going against the Imperial Father's decree by doing this, correct? Only, sigh, the Imperial Father has been going down on his years, and his handling of court falls shorter from one year to the next. With the Luo clan and Regent estate being like fire and water, it will be dangerously easy for Tianyu to fall into chaos and wreck the Imperial Father's poor heart from anxiety. As his son, I must set things right. That is why I wanted to get close to the rising Luo clan, so that I may mediate in the most dire moments and bring balance to Tianyu. Oh, elder brother is so considerate towards the people and father. I am in awe. Yuan Tsong cupped his hands, putting on a face of adoration. Elder brother, just say the word and I will fulfill any request you may have to my full capabilities. This is the only thing I can do to share the load you and father carry. Nodding, the Crown Prince patted his shoulder. Third brother, I thank you for your good intentions. If only our second brother had a fraction of your kindness. I believe we brothers could do it. If we work as one, nothing is impossible. A shame. Elder brother, lighten up. Second brother will one day understand your toil. The fatty gripped Crown Prince's hand. Watching him with a heavy gaze, Crown Prince had a thin smile. I can only hope. Third brother, I still have documents to handle for father in the Imperial Palace. I'll be going. Crown Prince glanced at the sky and cupped his hands. The fatty replied in kind. Thank you for your hard work, elder brother. Goodbye. Then he took his men and went in another direction, watching the ball of flesh wiggle away in the sun's glorious rays. The Crown Prince had a smile on his face. But once the pile of meat took a turn, his face sank, his eyes exploding with revulsion and hatred unlike any before. That damn lard-ass talks too much! He took out a spotless hanky and wiped his hand the fatty had grabbed, then threw it away. Then he left with his own detail, towards the gloom of a dark alley where 3 people waited. Greetings, Prime Minister Zhuge. Crown Prince bowed. They were Prime Minister Zhuge Changfeng and his 2 elders. Zhuge Changfeng smiled. Your Highness, by your confident gaze, I believe the plan was a success. Of sorts, however, Juafan is a highfalutin, leaving me with anger but nowhere to vent. Crown Prince grimaced. Zhuge Changfeng laughed. Your Highness, please bear it. Juafan is a prideful youngster who has yet to experience true failure. Even Lung Wucheng suffered at his hands. His pride is warranted. This is just how people with talent are. But will this cocky man one day take your position and become Prime Minister? Crown Prince frowned in disbelief. Zhuge Changfeng nodded. You heard it yourself, how the Emperor bestowed him the best steward beneath heaven's title. And what does that mean? Becoming Prime Minister. His Majesty is paving the way, a capable official for the new Emperor. Juafan may be unorthodox and crass in his methods, unlike me, but we are the same in one aspect. We are more than qualified to be the Prime Minister. I understand, Prime Minister Zhuge. Crown Prince nodded, but a dark cloud still loomed over his face. But I just can't stand Juafan's attitude. Just thinking how I'll tangle with him day after day once I'm crowned is infuriating. Zhuge Changfeng had a look of ridicule for him. Your Highness need not worry about this for now. Perhaps you won't even get the chance. Crown Prince shook like a quiver as he cried, What are you implying? Nothing. Just a guess about His Majesty's thoughts. Ha ha ha. Zhuge Chongfeng's eyes flashed. Every ruler plays favorites, leaving to his successor the people he wants. This goes double for the officials. Some will be demoted, others promoted, all to win the people's hearts. Yet this time His Majesty has decided to forgo this and settle on the next Prime Minister candidate. Now, why do you think he did that? Crown Prince shook his head. Bewildered Zhuge Chongfeng resumed with a hidden gaze of contempt. If the officials are chosen before the ruler, this can only mean one thing. His Majesty is yet to decide who among you three is to be the successor. Put another way, anyone would do with Zhuge Fan at his side. Your Highness, don't put too much stock in your crown prince status, when it gives no advantage whatsoever in the power struggle. Ha! How can this be? Crown Prince shuddered 2 steps back. Now do you see why I suggested getting close to Zhuge Fan? The official decides the emperor. Since any one of you three will do, it will all come down to who fits this stuck-up future Grand Chancellor best. This shall decide who among you is destined to be emperor. Zhuge Chongfeng sneered at the stumped Crown Prince. In case your Highness and Zhuge Fan can't exactly rub shoulders, you might as well give up on the throne. Being a regent isn't all that bad either. No. Crown Prince shouted his defiance. Prime Minister Zhuge, thank you for telling me. Now I know what I must do. He took his men and left in a haze. The sweat had seeped into his back, and the golden tunic stuck to him. Zhuge Chongfeng was mighty pleased watching the staggering figure leave. The black-haired elder spoke. Sir, are you really helping him take the throne? Helping? Humph! I'm not so bored as to get his dowry for him. Zhuge Chongfeng snickered. I'm only praising the Luo clan so much because of this tripartite stalemate plan. Have the tigers tear each other apart while he reaps the benefits. But does he think I'll just stand by and let him do that? I will entangle the imperial family into this mess and jumble the board so much he won't be able to tell left from right. Ha ha ha! Since he wants chaos, I'll give him a helping hand and raise hell. We'll just have to wait and see who will be the true reaper in the end. The 2 elders praised. The Prime Minister is brilliant. Meanwhile, Zhuge Fan went back to the lounge, dodging past Long Yifei and company Long Yifei's side at the Gone Princes. Crown Prince, a man of such impeccable conduct, is looking for a faction as well. The imperial capital isn't as calm as the surface. The others nodded. These guys all had decades behind them and could sniff out any undercurrent. Zhuge Fan agreed as well, but wasn't worried. With the Luo clan growing day by day and on the initiative, who could rein them in when they were in constant transformation? Steward Zhuge, someone has come with an invitation. Captain Pang ran over. Zhuge Fan glanced at it, and at the sight of the second prince's name he laughed. I just sent away the Crown Prince, and the second one comes right after. The second prince is filled with wild ambitions, always discussing with the houses in secret. But everyone looked down on him, until recently, when he got tangled with Hell Valley. To vie for the throne, I presume. Grandmother urged, Steward Zhuge, you'd best avoid getting into the imperial family's affairs, lest you incite trouble. Humph, I fear no trouble. But what does this second prince think he is, that he can just ask me to visit him? Even the Crown Prince paid yours truly a visit. Zhuge Fan ripped the invitation in disdain. The others flushed with shame. Steward Zhuge has nerves of steel, coming to such a decision with such a reasoning. While they were weighing the pros and cons and how to ease up on refusing the guy, Zhuge Fan, on his high horse as he always was, never failed to look the part of the egotistical boss. Oh! Checking the second invitation, Zhuge Fan read, Perish! The third pillar, demigod Yun Xuanji. Narrowing his eyes, Zhuge Fan pondered now that he thought about it. He had yet to pay this 1,000-year-old mystifying clan a visit. And here it was knocking on his door. Chapter 366, Yun Xuanji. Chapter 366, Yun Xuanji. Elite coder, Yun clan The most secretive clan since the founding of Tianyu, it was not like the 7 noble houses guarding the borders, but a clan every emperor had relied heavily on. This clan had mastered an amazing and strange skill. In every generation, there would be one person who knew how to read the heavens, a sacred bloodline that could infer the fate of the nation. This bloodline didn't offer them power, but allowed them to look into a person's fate and the empire's path. With ultimate precision, their eyes saw the world, so to speak. They gleaned fate through signs unperceived by others and presented the emperor with the most accurate conclusion. This person was called High Priest in every generation, a title the emperor bestowed, rumor had it, that in the Tianyu Empire's most dire need. The High Priest was the one to recommend Zhuge for marshal and Zhuge Changfeng for minister to the emperor. This led to the powerful 4 pillars of today, bringing prosperity to the nation. The current High Priest was the 7th clan head of the Yun clan, the one they called demigod Yun Xuanji. Zhuofan mulled it over. They say Yun Xuanji doesn't care about mundane affairs. So how come he knows about me? Steward Zhua, he is an incredible man. Since he has invited you, he must want to convey something of dire importance. You have to go. Grandmother spoke after seeing the invitation, raising an eyebrow. Zhuofan eyed her, then the rest. You guys are quite respectful of Yun Xuanji. Is he that trustworthy? Absolutely. Yun Xuanji is an anomaly in Tianyu. Be it the emperor, Zhuge Changfeng, Zhuge or the 7 houses. Everyone would knock on his door whenever they faced something beyond their understanding. And he answers each time. I once visited Sir myself, and his words brought light to my eyes. Long Yifei smiled, recalling the fond memory. It only worked to get Zhuofan more curious. How is it that the emperor leaves this threat, a mystic whose words shape the nation and even lead the houses, alive? Zhuofan was clear on one thing. Chaos bred heroes, while peace killed mystics. The world was perfect, peaceful, and safe. But your sudden scrying and spouting of the world falling into chaos, with anyone vying for the throne, will shake the empire to its core, no. This led to those mystics raving about some monarch founding a nation to be the first put down after the nation was up and running. To prevent calamity, no one wanted for others to use their words and steal their throne. One other reason why Zhuofan had such disdain for anything related to heaven, providence, and the like. Huangpu Qingtian wouldn't shut up about it. He laughed in his face, of course, labeling him as another duped moron in his mind. But now, the Yun clan had not only developed this art to perfection, it even had authority. Men, friends, and enemies alike paid social visits for answers to their problems. It was a clear violation to the imperial family, yet the emperor never once snuffed it out, but kept it close for 1,000 years. This was more than baffling, insane. Even the house lords burst out laughing at his conundrum. Ha ha ha. Steward Zhua, what you don't know is that the Yun clan has never shied away from the straight and narrow. It treats everyone as guests, yet never holds favorites. It never involves itself in court affairs, taking neutral ground and never crossing the line. The only reason the imperial family's fears were abetted. Unlike any other mystic, Yun clan has an ancestral teaching. The walks of life are numerous, heaven ever-changing, and humanity's wisdom boundless. Xia? Xiaofeng grinned, Zhuofan pondered, but shook his head in the end. Isn't that the same as saying, at the end of it all, you have only yourself to rely on? That's just it. His words guide you on your path. As for succeeding, it all comes down to you. This is what makes the Yun clan incredible. Long Yifei laughed. Zhuofans, I twitched. Well, I think he is a hustler. To juggle so many big shots sure takes skill. I'm looking forward to meeting him. Who knows? I may learn a thing or two on how to use you guys better. He even better. If you can learn anything, we'll be coming to you for guidance. Ha ha ha. Everyone burst out laughing. Zhuofan's hand holding the card shook, but his eyes were focused. He called Yun clan a mystic, but he was more than clear that for the emperor and Zhuge Changfeng to show utmost respect towards it, it had to be more than that. I have to visit them. He cupped his hands and took his leave, heading for Paris. It took 15 minutes to arrive before a huge gate, parish, was written above it, but unlike its glorious name as a third pillar, it looked downright poor. The Yun clan is truly honest, despite the 1,000-year-long fame. Nodding, Zhuo Fan knocked. The heavy gate creaked open, and a 9-year-old kid walked out. Giving Zhuo Fan a once-over, he bowed in respect. May I know who sir is and your purpose? A merchant. I heard of the high priest scrying and wished to consult him. Zhuo Fan found discretion was the better part of valor, so he chose to probe the unknown. The kid frowned and counted on his fingers before bowing in apology. Forgive me, but clan head is tending to an important guest these 3 days and can't receive you. You may come afterward. Let me make you a reservation. Zhuo Fan regarded the kid deeply and nodded inside. Yun clan sure is fair. So lofty, yet hearing the people's needs. Even their kid is polite. At the very least, it knows how to raise their clansmen. If it were the Luo clan's guards meeting some nobody wishing to see the great steward Zhuo, he'd have been slapped silly rather than waste words. Yun clan advocated virtue. A stark contrast from your common mystic. Ha ha ha. Child, I won't tease you any more. I have received an invitation. Here. Pinching the cutie's cheeks, Zhuo Fan laughed. The kid lit up and bowed. Oh, best steward beneath heavens, forgive me for not recognizing you, Sir Zhuo. Clan head has long been expecting you. The kid led the way. With Zhuo Fan smiling behind, they passed many water pavilions and stopped before a large structure. Looking up, Zhuo Fan found it to be 100 meters tall at the least. Here is the parish's observatory. Clan head is currently tending to a guest. Please wait here while I inform him. The child bowed again. Zhuo Fan nodded, and the child left 15 minutes later. Zhuo Fan's eyes roamed all over the place, bored out of his mind, when he heard angry and rough shouts. Why are they so familiar? Going around the observatory and onward, he arrived at a house. The child from before was now kneeling in front with a lowered head. Did he wait here, not wanting to disturb the clan head? Sir Zhuo, the child noticed him and cried out. Zhuo Fan only gestured for him to be silent. Then, to the child's shock, he tiptoed over and peeked through the seams of the door. He was dying to know who Yin Xuanji was seeing. He got the shock of his life. There were 3 people inside. One was a sitting grizzled old man with closed eyes and impeccable conduct. He was assumed to be High Priest Yin Xuanji. As for the other 2, Zhuo Fan was more than familiar with them. Huangpu Tianyuan and Lung Wucheng. Huangpu Tianyuan was the one raving. High Priest, your scrying has never failed, so why is it this time that it is completely different? Indeed, I can infer human minds, but not heaven's will. Something I admire the High Priest for. Lung Wucheng cupped his hands. But this time, I am unable to readily accept the High Priest's error. 20 years ago you told us that the eldest young master is fit to rule, that it was a wonderful omen. But now, Yun Xuanji nodded and sighed. Indeed, your eldest young master had the rare earth dragon disposition. He needed to pass 3 tribulations, and his future would have been limitless. What tribulations? Huangpu Tianyuan spat. Yin Xuanji not once opened his eyes. These 3 were a part of heaven's plan. I dare not divulge. But since he had come to pass, it no longer applies. They are heaven's will, father and son and sin. Which of them was Zhuo Fan? Lung Wucheng asked. Yin Xuanji shook his head. Neither. Then why say there were 3? Aren't they clearly 4? It was even one that took his life. Huangpu Tianyuan boomed. Yin Xuanji was a bastion of tranquility in the face of a storm. Heaven is ever-changing, though some movements can be tracked. With a human having 3,000 paths to choose from, his life can take a myriad of turns. But your dear son's tragic loss is a true accident. Zhuo Fan was holding his mouth for his dear life. He was more and more sure this Yun Xuanji guy was a hustler through and through. Who the hell would say an expert like Huangpu Qingtian's death was an oopsie? Huangpu Tianyuan and Lung Wucheng twitched. It was a first time hearing such a word from Yun Xuanji. He used to drone on about fate working in mysterious ways, some kind of elegant and convoluted explanation that had them all bow in admiration of the infallible truth it held, but this time he offered no such thing. Writing it all off as an accident, is he trying to give Parrish a bad name? Chapter 367, You Should Be Dead. Chapter 367, You Should Be Dead. Elite coder, face twitching. Huangpu Tianyuan clenched his fists and felt a sudden, totally understandable, urge to deck the old man. High priest, haven't you always preached that no life is by accident? That heaven has decreed everything? Even if a mistake happens, it is only a fork in the road that is fate. Aren't you the one mistaken then? Why is it that when it comes to Qingtian's turn, it's an accident? One's path is impermanent, heaven ever shifting, and of the world's myriad creatures, no one can escape their destiny. With how the world has 8 gates, opening, torpor, life, harm, impediment, spectacle, shock, death, to enter the gate of life is to be alive. To enter the gate of death is to die. To enter the gate of torpor is to lag in lethargy and be in a slur. To enter the gate of spectacle is to have a bright future. But in any case, it always revolves around taking one of the 8 gates, never outside them. Thus one can't escape their destiny. Yun Xuanji took a deep breath. After speaking of how mysteries had intricacies and intricacies had mysteries, he sighed. However, as there are myriads of living beings, an anomaly is bound to appear. There comes a time when a singular man stands outside heaven's control. Huangpu Tianyuan's eyes twitched, clueless where he was going with this rant. Lung Wucheng, however, did get it. You mean to say Zhuo Fan isn't part of heaven's schedule? Huangpu Tianyuan snapped his stunned eyes on Lung Wucheng. What does that mean? Yun Xuanji never elaborated, resuming after a long pregnant pause. We shall stop here. I have spoken too much already. You are now on your own. Show yourselves out. This coot's kicking his guests out. Huangpu Tianyuan choked, and a blazing fire scorched his heart. He really wanted to thrash this geezer, not making a word of sense, and now he was giving them the boot? The two's minds went out of commission for a second there. Lung Wucheng was the first to act, though, stopping his lord's assault on the defenseless old man and bowing. Thank you, High Priest, for your counsel. I understand fully, and we shall now take our leave. We shall come again another time. Hey, Sir Lung, understand what? I didn't get anything out of that rant. Huangpu Tianyuan roared. Lung Wucheng waved. Estate lord, let's go. The High Priest has already given us clear advice. Zhuo Fan is an anomaly, neither friend nor foe. He has nothing to do with us. You're calling all that nothing? He has killed so many of our people, and you want to just forget about revenge? Huangpu Tianyuan watched Lung Wucheng in shock. Why is Sir Lung speaking in riddles like this coot? Lung Wucheng merely pulled him outside. Estate lord, I will explain everything when we get back. Rumble. Lung Wucheng opened the door only to bump into the peeping Tom. He cried, Zhuo Fan! W, what are you doing here? A total coincidence. Ha ha ha. Just like you came to ask how to deal with me, I've also come to High Priest for pointers on what's the best way to get rid of you guys. Zhuo Fan taunted with a snicker. Though isn't it funny how we both visit the same person for our problems? Humph, ignorant whelp. Parrish has stood tall for 1,000 years above mundane affairs, and they won't start doing it now for a measly conflict. They are merely here to point out our path and clarify our purpose. Lung Wucheng put on a cold smile. Besides, now that I fully understand our circumstances, Luo clan may be evolving day by day, but it will be at the heart of chaos. Attack us, and both our houses will fall, leaving others to reap the benefits. Intellectuals like you and me aren't dumb enough to choose this path. Zhuo Fan gave him a deep look and nodded. Right on. But understand this. Who is it that kept backing off in front of the imperial palace? Shuddering, Lung Wucheng clenched his fists. It was the greatest humiliation of his life to be pushed around by Zhuo Fan. Ha, Sir Lung. You know you can't beat me. Yet you are also scared to face me. It must be, Zhuo Fan snickered. his finger pointing at his heart. Here is where you fall short. You don't have my drive. Just a mere counselor unable to achieve anything noteworthy. Ha ha ha. The mockery was jarring to Lung Wuchang's ears. His eyes bloodshot, his fingers digging into his palms. Unable to hold himself back from trembling, it was a naked taunt and scorn, but all he could do was bear with it. They couldn't face Xue Fan as he was now. He was too strong. Besides the fact that he was now one of the big players in the grand scheme of things. They were not about to throw caution into the wind over this little hiccup. The kneeling child was stumped, living his whole life in the parish. All he had ever met were respectful and courteous people. Even if hypocritical, in other words, this child had only seen the light of the world, and never its black and foul darkness. Today was the day when he got exposed to humanity's most morbid side. Xue Fan hardly needed lengthy speeches to poke at Lung Wuchang. Those few words contained more than enough unbridled malice that he would appear to be like a hellhound out for blood. And each word shocked the poor child's naive heart more than the last. He was afraid. So this is the corruptive darkness that courses through outsiders' veins. Yun Xuanji sighed with his eyes closed. Lung Wuchang took long breaths to calm down somewhat. He refrained from talking back and instead pulled an enraged Huangpu Tianyuan. "Estate lord, let's go!" Xue Fan watched them leave with a grin, then turned to the dumbstruck kid, patting his shoulder with a snicker. "Sonny, see that? Look how those guys left bleak and despondent before yours truly. Am I cool or what?" The child was too shocked to speak. "Steward Xue, please refrain from corrupting my disciple." High Priest finally opened his deep eyes with a casual shrug. Xue Fan grinned, pinching the kid's cheek again before going in. After that peeping fiasco, he was rid of all respect he ever had for High Priest, thinking just a hustler. And since he was a mere peak profound heaven expert, he had lost all interest too, sprawling in his seat and drumming the table. Xue Fan said, "So, why did the High Priest call me over?" Looking at him for a long 15 minutes, Yun Xuanji nodded. "As I suspected, Steward Xue is a man among men." "Stuff it. If I'd been any more normal, I'd be dead. Now, why did you invite me?" Xue Fan slapped the table with a scoff. He shot to his feet, heading for the door. "If you're all out of shticks to convince me, then see ya. And don't try that fate stuff with me. It won't work, nor can I understand it. Do us both a favor and save it." Xue Fan left with a sneer. Yun Xuanji only spoke as he was about to take the first step outside. "You should be dead." Rumble. Xue Fan froze with his leg in the air. His eyes filled with shock. Yun Xuanji cut into him. "Quickly. He did die once already. Be it Luo clan servant, Xue Fan, or Sacred Domain's demonic emperor, Xu Yifan, they had both died. Xue Fan was the demonic emperor's resentment, borrowing this servant's body to be reborn. He still had the case of identity disorder. Was he Xu Yifan or Xue Fan? Through the use of 9 Serenity's secret records, out of 2 deaths, a life was born. This was his greatest secret. So how did the old coot figure him out in a glance? Creaking his head back, Xue Fan frowned. He now noticed the abyss in the old man's eyes, hiding a faint flicker of light. Like the night's furthest star, are the rumors true? Yun clan's clan heads have eyes that can pierce one's fate? This is out of this world. Not even Sacred Domain's emperors can train in such a mystical art. More importantly, is this world dominated by fate? Xue Fan was a stubborn skeptic when it came to anything remotely sounding of fate, but now he was forced to give it a second thought. Swallowing dryly, Xue Fan looked heavily at him. "Just who are you? Where does the Yun clan come from?" He refused to believe that the mortal domain housed such an unimaginable clan. "He's a branch of the Shun clan. He has to be." Yun Xuanji had a puzzled look. "Steward Xue, what are you saying?" "Yun clan has always lived in seclusion, being weak at fighting. At the founding of Tianyu, we were asked to come out of obscurity and have been treated as its parish ever since. To answer your question of where we come from, I can only reply with Tianyu." Xue Fan was thrown in a loop now. Can a clan of such incredible skill have such bland origins? Or have they lived for so long that they forgot about their own history? Zhuo Fan had a faint smile on and shamelessly plopped back in his seat. High Priest, please don't mind my previous outburst. So where were we? Ah, it's been ages since I had such a refreshing chat with someone, ha ha ha. Yun Xuanji's face twitched, and he laughed to himself. Steward Zhuo, your reputation precedes you. Flexible, knowing no shame, and quite like myself back in the day. High Priest, are you patronizing me or mocking yourself? Zhuo Fan felt awkward. High Priest shook his head. We've all been young once. But now, at my age, this seat is different from how I saw it then. So I wish to have a talk with Steward Zhuo, giving our all for a better tomorrow. Chapter 368, Rediscover. Chapter 368, Rediscover. Elite Coder. Zhuo Fan was listening to Yun Xuanji's every word. People's fates are ingrained in the world. Although choices are innumerable, anything hardly throws the world out of balance. My belief was firm in this truth, and with my ancestors' eyes, I was able to point out a safer path for the people. But 8 years ago, something happened that collapsed my faith. Zhuo Fan curled an eyebrow. Seeing Yun Xuanji gasping, he muttered, High Priest, restrain your grief. Who hasn't been disappointed in the world? Ha ha ha. You think I fell in despair because everything I knew had been turned upside down? Yun Xuanji sighed. Perhaps, but I was more surprised than anything. I used to think every life is bound to the world's laws. The more I saw, the duller the world became. That is why the Yun clan has always lived in tranquility and never engaged in power play. But that moment opened my eyes, that not everything was set in stone. Heaven and earth are keeping us prisoners while still presenting us with a way out. All that is left is for us to find it. Clueless to high heavens. Zhuo Fan scratched his nose, cursing the old man. What the hell had the old coot been smoking? Yun Xuanji laughed in reply to his thoughts. Steward Zhuo doesn't look too keen to delve into the mysteries of fate. Then I shall speak plainly. 8 years ago, you killed Yu Giki in Blue Expanse City. Your act defied fate. His destiny was fraught with dangers, but it was not meant to be cut so short. Zhuo Fan's heart seized. 8 years ago was his first turning point in Tianyu, the one that made him infamous. All the fate-defying that came after this event went way over his head. You mean to tell me fate includes killing? What am I supposed to do? Wait for the auspicious day when I want to kill someone, since it wasn't in the stars for him to die earlier? That only meant this parish ought to change jobs, scrying for an assassin's target's due date. Or no matter what the killer tries before the due time, all attempts would be for naught. Yun Xuanji knew his thoughts before they had even formed. Each man's fate is linked with the world, just like the starry sky. And every one of them touched one another through unseen rules and intricate interactions. Since everyone has their own will, they all take different walks in life. But the path to death never even existed for Yu Giki at that point in time. It only appeared 20 years later, in a time of great national unrest. The news of his death shocked me to the core. I turned to the sky at once and found a dead person still alive. Along with him, the strings of fate were now entangled, and he had escaped the ties that bind. Every single action of his changed the fates of everyone he met. The strong become weak, and the weak turn strong. Like a demon archon incarnate, he literally flips the world upside down. High Priest, you don't mean me when you mention demon archon, right? Zhuo Fan pointed at his nose. Blinking his big puppy eyes, Yun Xuanji smiled. What do you think? Ha ha ha. You know better than anyone. Just how many people's fate has taken a sudden and unconceivable turn on your path. Luo clan, a washed-up third-rate clan, is experiencing a complete rebirth as the head of the 8 noble houses. If not because of you killing Yu Giki, Blue Expanse City's Shui clan would have never served under Sword Marquis' abode. Their third mislife would have run its sordid course. Drifting Flowers Edifices was destined to be Regent Estates' first victim in their house unification plan, greatly bolstering their power, all leading up to a huge civil war. All it took was one particular man, you, and Drifting Flowers edifices made a comeback from the brink of death. Regent Estates plans were thwarted, and on it goes. Need I say more? All of this sounds like fate's plan to me. Maybe I'm just Regent Estates' nemesis, the one to turn all of it around. Zhuo Fan stuck out his nose as he spoke with sophistry. Yuan Xuanji nodded with a smile. Perhaps, but my eyes still fail to see any trace of fate around you. As if you are walking between two worlds, having long since shed the shackles of destiny. Heart tense. Zhuo Fan may speak tough, but he was already starting to believe it on the mushy inside. Although he was allergic to this bullshit called fate, this old coot was right about one thing. He truly was walking between worlds, that of the living and the dead, an ethereal stage. Losing his body could live on by possessing others with his soul. But that was no true rebirth, since he didn't die to begin with, while demonic Emperor Zhu Yifan had his soul pulverized, annihilated. Luo clan servant Zhuo Fan of meager cultivation was also struck down, yet through the mysteries of the Nine Serenities' secret records, life was born anew from these two strangers housing one body, a life walking the thin line between the living and the dead, yet above the laws of this world separated. They were dead, but together they were at least half alive. Steward Zhua, I don't know how you did it, but please believe me, your very existence changes everyone's fate as they know it. Yuan Xuanji paused for effect, then continued in a heavier tone. I intended to keep this matter hidden, but in exchange for your trust, I will tell you a secret. The one you killed, Huangpu Qingtian, had all the qualities and fate to be a ruler. He had a high chance of becoming the new emperor. What? Zhuo Fan could hardly believe his ears. He was always of the belief that Huangpu Qingtian's rants about Providence that were just that, rants, and a heavy dose of narcissistic tendencies. But now, even the high priest vouched for him, making it all the more crazy in Xuanji's side. I had seen into Huangpu Qingtian's fate, and a single glance told me that he had the disposition of an earth dragon, a prime candidate to be a king on this earth. But fate is a forked path. Where there is death, there will always be life, and where there was life, death wasn't far behind either. At the time, I spoke of 3 tribulations he had to pass to achieve his destiny. First was heaven. With the king's advent, the dragon's soul shall return. Huangpu Qingtian earned its recognition in his childhood for a reason. This tribulation he passed. Zhuo Fan, knotted dragon-vein soul, was a savage being with not even a radiant stage expert capable of subduing it. Yet Huangpu Qingtian, a pipsqueak, did it, complementing each other and training the earth dragon claw. It's got to be fate. There's no other explanation. The second tribulation was of father and son. Estate Lord Huangpu Tianyuan is a decisive and stalwart person. If Huangpu Qingtian wanted to do anything, he had to seize power, to steal his father's seat. This ultimately broke the ties of father and son beyond repair. All he had to do was to be a savage himself, throw away his clan, and steal his position. This would have brought him one step closer to being an emperor. Humph, the punk was savage, all right. Just look at his rotten attitude. Zhuo Fan scoffed inside. It's obvious that this tribulation was a walk in the park compared to the first. The final tribulation, the most crucial one, was sin. Huangpu Qingtian is a tyrant in character and actions. With everyone considered dirt, his sins weigh heavy on his shoulders. If he would have gone soul-searching, reassessing the worth of a person, he would have been a prime candidate to become the next emperor. 20 years later, Regent Estate would be at his beck and call. At the peak of his power, the clash with the imperial family would be nothing more than a skirmish to him. And 4 decades later, he'd become the ruler of Tianyu and establish his own dynasty. That seems highly improbable. With that guy's obnoxious attitude, the thought of self-reflection would have never crossed his mind. Looking people right in the eye instead of his nostrils would already be a huge improvement. There's no way he would have passed the third tribulation. Zhuo Fan dissed his words. But now the Regent estate can no longer vie for power and has nothing to do with me any more. Yun Xuanji shook his head. People always change. As I understand, the recent years have been too peaceful. If Huangpu Qingtian had lived, he may very well be able to overcome this tribulation. A pity he stumbled upon you, a man outside fate, and his future was cut short. A grave loss. Yun Xuanji sighed, while Zhuo Fan scratched his nose. High priest, for you to tell me so much, there has to be a reason. Why? For the good of the people. Yun Xuanji stood up, giving the flabbergasted Zhuo Fan a deep bow. I have deep knowledge of fate and its inviolable nature. Even if forced to change, it will only make a detour, slowly but surely returning back on track. Hence I am filled with pain seeing the people suffer, yet powerless to help them. Now that I see that Steward Zhuo has the power to change all that, I dearly wish Steward Zhuo will keep the fighting to a minimum, for the sake of the people. Fine, I get it. Zhuo Fan waved him off before he went on. High priest, I took you for an intelligent man, but now I see that you're quite senile. 1 second you call me the demon archon incarnate, and the next moment you ask the same demon archon to save the world? Yun Xuanji held his gaze. You were a demon archon. Still am. Then later. Still will. Zhuo Fan's tone was firm. Yun Xuanji sighed. You have escaped fate. So why insist on walking the old path? I do not know who you are, but looking at your past exploits that got you here, they're not at all the actions of an ignorant child, but those of an expert reborn. Going from there, a reborn expert must have faced true death once. But have you ever taken a moment to consider that this rebirth and having escaped fate is all about rediscovering yourself? Zhuo Fan shook from head to toe. Not only had he guessed Zhuo Fan's origins, but the heart of this old demonic cultivator rediscover. In less than 10 years, unlike his past life, which was focused solely on cultivating in the sacred domain, he had met countless people, gotten in touch with all kinds of feelings he never knew existed that had given him a whole new look on life. These were all events he had never experienced before. Maybe this life was heaven's way of elevating his state of mind through countless events for the next time he became a demon emperor. That truth freed him of worry and brought peace. His death as demonic emperor may very well be a blessing in disguise. What's in it for me? Zhuo Fan was back to showing his trademark evil smile. He may have accepted Yun Xuanji's proposal, but on the inside he was still rotten. Chapter 369 Holy Maiden Yun Xuang. Chapter 369 Holy Maiden Yun Xuang. Elite Coder. Yun Xuanji smiled after persuading Zhuo Fan's rebuttal into a half-agreement. As for the price, he had that covered. Steward Zhuo, changing fate benefits the nation. It is the highest form of good you can do. From now on, my clan will follow Steward Zhuo to the ends of the earth. Going against heaven's plan is the way for the future. We'll do anything to prevent Steward Zhuo from burning the world and ruining the lives of innocents. Zhuo Fan's face lit up. His heart tickled pink. The third pillar, perish, would answer to him alone. It was the best kind of help. With High Priest Yun Xuanji known to all as demigod, he could peer into heaven's plan, yet not through Zhuo Fan regardless. This way he would have accurate information regarding those sneaky devils that wanted to stab him in the back while he was assaulted by beasts from the front cot in his reverie. Yun Xuanji was the one to wake him. Steward Zhuo, my clan has always been neutral. But for the sake of people, I will make an exception just this once. Last night, I peered into the sky and found the Luo clan to be on a constant rise. The only ones strong enough to crush its advance are 4 powers. Care to elaborate? Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. Regent Estate, the Earth Dragon. Imperial Family, the Crouching Dragon. The Empire's Prime Minister. Zhuge Changfeng, the Hidden Dragon. And Yun Xuanji squinted and sighed, having reached this point, and gestured to the north. my greatest worry and greatest menace upon the people. Chuanrong Empire, the vile dragon! Eyes squinting, Zhuo Fan cried. The same Chuanrong Empire that the imperial capital's factions have beaten down thousands of miles away from here? What do they have to do with us? Don't tell me they'll take this chance to attack? That still doesn't involve the Luo clan. That will be right up Dugujantian's alley. I am unclear since I am not part of the court meetings and do not understand politics shrouded in cloak and dagger. I only read the night sky, and these four are the ones most likely to level the Luo clan. Yun Xuanji sighed, wheels turning for a while. Zhuo Fan's eyes had a lost gaze in them, not seeing the connection. If I take Yun Xuanji's word for it, whose side is Chuanrong on then? Zhuo Fan's mind jumped back to the esoteric debate, thinking of the time in Beast King Mountain and the good days he spent with that foreign lass. He found her a little bit queer. Is someone within our empire spying for the Chuanrong Empire? How else do you explain another country's interference in times of Tianyu's civil war? He then turned to the first three factions. They all had the minimum power to cooperate with each other, and this had him grow extra cautious. I was too naive to focus only on the first three factions. Each of them is despicable and vile enough to pull outsiders into this country's problems. God damn it, are they that thick in the head to not understand the simple truth of keeping it in the family? First he cursed them and then rejoiced. He thanked his lucky stars that he came by Yun Xuanji today and found out about this important info, or this ace would have remained hidden until it would sting him hard with a rushed bow. He spoke. Thank you, Elder Yu, for your wisdom. I will make arrangements at once. I am not about to let outsiders encroach our lands and put our people in peril. Ha ha ha. For Steward Zhuo to realize this truth, I am more than gratified. But before you go, I have a gift for you. Chuckling, Yun Xuanji turned to the kneeling child outside the door. Xiao, Dongzi, go bring Shuang Er. Right away. The child left Zhuo Fan, put on a puzzled look for the high priest. What treasure is he giving me? But all he could read from the old guy's vague smile was nothing. Moments later, the child came back with a brisk ringing of bells and a fragrance that assaulted Zhuo Fan's nose. It soothed his mind and cleared his heart, and then he heard the sweetest voice. Grandfather, you called? Zhuo Fan flicked his head back to meet the clearest eyes and fairest skin, sending Zhuo Fan down memory lane. Ninger. They were not, in fact, similar at all. She was prettier than Xuanningsiang by a long shot, but Zhuo Fan found one trait identical. Both of them had that innocent vibe, like the highest snow on the tallest peak, unmarred by decadence and evil plaguing this world. Shuang come. Yun Xuanji had a cooing tone as he gestured her over. She is my granddaughter, Yun Shuang. Zhuo Fan made a curt nod, and a silly smile found its way on his face. He felt too similar to when Xuanningsiang was around, and for no particular reason, he became chipper. Hi, I am Luo Clan Steward, Zhuo Fan. Hello. Yun Shuang smiled back and bowed. Shaking the little bell on her wrist, Yun Xuanji approved, then dropped the bomb. Steward Zhuo, Shuang will be your servant, tending to all your needs. What? Zhuo Fan and Yun Shuang's eyes were about to pop out. Grandfather. Yun Shuang teared up at Yun Xuanji's inflexible expression. Zhuo Fan waved all over the place. High Priest, your help is more than enough. Why must you make such a repulsive proposal? Do you take me for a lek? One who sits on men and gets fresh with women? To the point that I'd go for my allies' people? Ha ha ha, this is precisely why. Why else do you think I'd throw my dear granddaughter into the jaws of a tiger? Yun Xuanji said. To be perfectly honest, she is like me and has the same eyes I do. She is to become Yun Clan's 8th clan head, Holy Maiden Yun Shuang. I leave her with you to guide you when needed and to stop you from bringing calamity to the people. In the esoteric debate, you lost all reasoning, forcing the hidden and opportunistic Luo clan to come out in the open far earlier than necessary. For the Luo clan and for the nation, it was a grave lapse in judgment. Flushing red, Zhuo Fan scratched his nose. He was clear on what a dumb idea it was being such a hothead when facing Huangpu Qingtian. As they say, hindsight was 20/20, but some things were meant to be done even if they were clearly unreasonable. He would do it all over again, even if he had to choose again. I'd never rest easy until he died. Yun Xuanji gave Zhuo Fan a shy look, her eyes turning pitch black with faint glimmers flashing deep within. Just like Yun Xuanji, she then cried, "Ah, He has no fate. Is he the one grandfather always talks about, the anomaly who broke the ties that bind?" The same one. Luo clan steward, Zhuo Fan. With a chuckle, Yun Xuanji, who was very fond of Yun Shuang, spoke. "Shuanger, don't blame me. I don't have any choice. It's the only way to save the people, through him who changes fates. He is a man of cruel methods, not one bit kind, even capable of tormenting innocents. I can only have you stay by his side, to guide him on the righteous path and save the people." Cough, High Priest, with all due respect. Are you by any chance cursing me? Is that wise? Zhuo Fan spoke his 2 cents. Yun Xuanji just shook his hand. Ha ha ha. Steward Zhuo always sees himself as a cruel man. So how could those words count? Just take them as a praise. High Priest, now I know why you said my shameless character made you nostalgic. You haven't changed a bit. Still hanging on strong. I may be shameless, but not even I am like you, cursing someone in their face. You're too kind, really. Steward Zhuo just got unwanted contriver so angry he almost spat blood. I am far from your match. As they say, every generation outmatches the last. Kids these days get stronger every day. Yun Shuang watched the 2 bicker between the lines and giggled. Yun Xuanji patted his dear granddaughter's head, pushing her over. Steward Zhuo, Shuanger is in your care. She will be of help to you. Please don't abandon her. She isn't a burden. I can't always be there to guide you, but she can. She is useful. Quirking an eyebrow, Zhuo Fan felt that the old man was hinting at something while emphasizing her ability, but nodded anyway. The coot is right about one thing. Having a scryer by my side is far better than running over here every other day. Thus they came to terms. Yun Xuanji saw them out himself. Yun Shuang barely wanted to leave, with tears welling in her eyes, but Zhuo Fan's forceful pulling got her away in no time at all. This is a treasure right here. Waste not, want not. This scene would instantly slap another infamous rumor on the ever-growing list that was Zhuo Fan. That of him being a human trafficker. What no one noticed, though, was the pair of cold eyes watching them from a dark corner moments later. A shadow flashed, and words entered his ears. He mumbled and scoffed. Humph, this suicidal old coot, neutral for a century, and now he decides to make an exception. The figure vanished, and the sky above the parish darkened swiftly. Bringing with it rain and piercing winds, the high priest faltered at this change, and his carefree mood turned serious as he sighed. What matters is not what becomes of my name, but the good of the people. Ha ha. After a weak laughter, his eyes flickered with a staunch resolve. Chapter 370, Kidnapping. Chapter 370, Kidnapping. Elite Coder, Shuanger, hope you don't mind me calling you that. On their way to the Luo clan, Zhuo Fan and Yun Shuang were walking abreast. But he always had a vile and sinister smile each time he looked at the lass. Like she was a super rare treasure, Yun Shuang shivered and tears welled in her eyes. The way she saw Zhuo Fan grinning was like a stranger being handed a candy, and it scared her out of her mind. Zhuo Fan laughed. Ha ha ha. Miss Shuanger, there's no need to be scared. Your grandfather placed you in my care to help me complete my master plan. In fact, we're on the same side. Once this is all over, you are free to go home. With how we little know about each other from the past few moments, you can still be sure of my character. Just stick with yours truly, and you'll be going places. I will make a celebrity out of you. I will take very good care of you. He didn't realize that all this boasting might have something to do with how this girl had the same character as Ning Yun. Shuang broke out in giggles. She kept looking at him for a while, before finally scrounging up some courage. As Steward Zhuo, Grandfather warned me many times that you are a bad man, and I am to lead you down the path of righteousness. But you don't look so wicked to me. Ha ha ha, that's why I said you don't know me. Shaking his head, Fan laughed and sighed at the gullible lady then. A sudden wind picked up and covered the two in yellow dust. Fan cried, "Poison!" Schwanger, hold your breath. Hi, useless. My poison can pierce even a radiant stage expert's defenses. The creepy voice stabbed the two's ears as the yellow dust grew thicker around them. Fan grimaced as he watched the world spin. It's a sedative. With a plop, he fell down, out cold. Steward Joie. Yun Shuang cried, just as the yellow poison drifted towards her. She held on for a few seconds before blacking out, just like Fan. 3 men flew over. One was an elder with long yellow eyebrows drooping down the sides of his wrinkled face. A flick from him made the yellow dust go back into his sleeve. They were mighty pleased with themselves, seeing their quarry was out for the count. Ha ha ha. And here I thought the best steward beneath heavens was something to fear. One move from me, and he fell all the same. The yellow eyebrow elder laughed, his cronies bowed in praise. Ancestor Huang Mei, your poison is invincible. Not even Pilkinghall can match you. Smiley face, Huang Mei equals literally yellow eyebrows. Humph, Pilkinghall is nothing compared to me. Thinking back to when Pilkinghall invited me to be their venerable, we compared poisons, but wasn't it them who fell short each time? All they have for themselves is an empty name. The ancestor mocked. Second prince only wants Fan. What do we do with her? Ancestor, I heard Fan always carries himself with pride and indifference and has few people he even cares about. For this girl to be walking next to him, it can only mean that she is one such person. Let's take her as well. It might be for His Highness's benefit. One of the men bowed, and Ancestor Huang Mei nodded. He wrapped the 2 bodies on the ground in yellow dust and flew away. The other 2 rushed to catch up. This easy win had gotten to their heads all right, or they would have noticed a shivering person not far from here, having been witness to all of it. A closer look would instantly place her as Princess Yongning's attendant from the awards ceremony. Oh God, this is huge! I have to tell the princess. The child finally regained her wits after a long 15 minutes. Scampering for the imperial palace in panic in less than an hour, the panting child presented her badge to the gate guards. I am the princess maid. Let me in. Meanwhile, in the princess chambers, a fatty was wiping the overflowing sweat on his brow as he panted. Yongning, come out. I'm dying here. The fatty shook the ground with his collapse, cursing still. What the hell is wrong with this place? Why is it so big? For no one but the emperor to move in a palanquin is so unreasonable. That rule is clearly aimed at my poor self. Then what are you doing dashing around the imperial palace? Why don't you stick to your manner? Hi. A giggle came from beyond the doors. Princess Yongning came from inside in a cheerful mood. Fatty turned to look at his younger sister. You think I want to run over to this blasted place? Regardless of its importance, Imperial Father always sends me on errands. While the elder brother handles files in the Imperial Palace, and the second brother tends to the guards, patrolling with them each day. Only I, the accursed big-boned, unloved by my father, get sent outside whenever, wherever. I bet the farther he sends me, the better he feels, wishing I won't get back at all. Sigh. The world can be so cruel to this poor plus-sized man. Third brother, you must have lived a long and hard life. Yongning caressed the big lug's head, but the smile never left her face. On the verge of breaking the facade, the fatty's mouth twitched, flicking her hand away. Stop patronizing me, sister. I came here on official business. It is Father's punishment for you, for sneaking out. He knows. Yongning jerked, and her face sank. Third brother, how did Father find out? Did you all tell on me? And you call yourself brothers? Rolling his eyes, the tubby sighed. Yongning, I haven't said a word. Running around the nation, round the clock, has me dead on my feet. I don't even have time for anything else, much less report you. As for the elder brother, he's toiling hard as well, pushing papers all day every day. When would he get the time off to tell on you? To say nothing of the second brother. You saw him growing up, how his only drive is elder brother. He's not so bored as to give you trouble. Then, who told him my secret? Princess, Yongning frowned. If I ever get my hands on that person, I'll tear them to pieces. Fatty was watching her in a daze, then shook his head. Yongning, you're no angel either. Even if we didn't know a thing, he'd still hear about it. Father is the emperor with countless spies under him. Aren't you a bit delusional thinking you can hide your actions in the imperial capital? You're right. Thanks to your reminder, now I know it must be those rumored shadow guards, creeping about like ghosts, some clingy maggots and pestering pests. Am I right? Yongning clapped and vowed, they're the ones. Who else could have known I sneaked out? The fatty gasped, then put on a bitter smile. Yongning, are you sure you aren't playing with half a deck? That little sneak of yours, outside the gates, was out in the open for all the houses to see. Why mention the shadow guards when everyone knew? Besides, the shadow guards are Father's secret force. No one knows who they really are. All that is known is their captain, the fourth pillar, Shadow King. Even the other pillars are cautious around him. Aren't you perhaps having an overinflated idea of yourself, thinking a big shot like him would set his eyes on the little old you? What little old me? Aren't I a princess? Yongning threw a tantrum. Fatty sighed. Yongning, we're getting nowhere. Might as well accept Father's punishment. Princess Yongning, receive the edict. Yongning obeys. May His Majesty have a long and prosperous life. Yongning fell to her knees. With utmost respect, Fatty turned solemn as well. By order of the Emperor, Yongning has sneaked out of the palace and lost all semblance of propriety. You are hereby confined for 1 year, subjected to change depending upon your behavior. A year. Yongning fell to the ground in shock, her face ashen, a whole year stuck in the imperial palace. That was the heaviest blow she had ever received. Fatty regarded the downcast princess in pain and was going to say a few words, but a child rushed over in panic, crying all the time, Princess, something terrible has happened. What happened? Why are you panicking? Yongning sighed. What could be worse than being grounded for a year? And didn't I tell you to invite Schwanger to read me? Where is she? Gasping, she blurted, didn't get the chance. Miss Schwanger and Zhuo Fan were kidnapped. What? Yongning and Fatty cried. I saw it with my own eyes, Princess. Lu Zhu vouched. Who did it? The Fatty frowned. I heard them mentioning the second prince. What? Fatty and Yongning jerked at once. Fatty's face was whiter than paper. Second brother has really done it now. A prince engaging in kidnapping? And with the high priest's holy maiden and a house steward no less. Lu Zhu, you come with me. I am going to give him an earful. Humph. Yongning scoffed, pulling Lu Zhu towards the emperor's study. Lu Zhu merely bobbed her head and followed, while Fatty ran out of the palace aghast. Third brother, where are you going? Shouldn't we tell Father? Yongning shouted, it's too late for that. Fatty gnashed his teeth. Late. Yongning was bewildered. Since the second brother had them kidnapped, they should be safe for the time being. How can I rest easy? And I'm not worried for them, but for my second brother. Old second must have lost his mind to move against that savage. You can mess with the king of hell, but God help you if you step on Steward Zhuo's toes. That line said back in the esoteric debate wasn't just for show. Fatty wiped his brow and his face was flushed. His blubber butt actually moved with uncanny grace for once. Gone like the wind, Yongning figured the situation was far graver and rushed as well. Chapter 371, The Savage Rouses. Chapter 371, The Savage Rouses. Elite Coder. Whoosh! The image of a perfect blue sky was ruined when a yellow smoke made erratic movements all over it. It landed in a huge yard, revealing the person within it was ancestor Huang, Mei, and his cronies. Each was holding a knocked-out hostage. Zhuofan, and Holy Maiden Yin Shuang throwing the baggage to the ground. The trio cackled clap. With a slow clap, a nice-looking youth came over with a dozen people behind him. It was Yuan Yong's second prince, gave the baggage a curt nod. Whenever the yellow wind blows, nothing can catch him. Ancestor Huang Mei lives up to his reputation. To have even Zhuofan, the pain in the rear of all the houses, tied up, I am in awe, ha ha ha. Hi, thank you, your highness. I am not like those nobodies, undeserving of their name. I had him captured even before I got to show what I was made of. I feel ashamed sometimes, undeserving of the second prince's praise. Ha ha ha, ancestor is so modest. I'm sure that it is not Zhuofan who is weak, but ancestor's skills are out of this world to have achieved such swift success. Ancestor, you will have the 10 8th grade pills, rest assured. Second prince clapped and laughed, while Ancestor Huang Mei gave out his creepy cackle. With that out of the way, the second prince turned to the baggage. He flipped Zhuofan over and snickered at his dreamy look. Is this all the best steward beneath heaven's amounts to? This is what you get for ignoring my invite. Then he turned to Yun Shuang in confusion. Ancestor, who is this? He, not a clue. Since she was with Zhuofan, she has to be someone important to him. I figured the girl would be of some use to your highness, so I brought her along. Ancestor Huang Mei shrugged. Second prince chapped his lips with so many praises. That's so nice of you, ancestor, ha ha ha. He flipped her over as well, putting on display all that made her pretty. He was amazed. Holy Maiden Yin Shuang? Ancestor, how come you've kidnapped someone from Parish? You mean I can't? Ancestor Huang Mei was confused, squinting. The second prince took a deep breath and showed a twisted smile. No, you are perfect, ancestor. In fact, I'll add 2 more pills as thanks. What? Ancestor Huang Mei blanked for a second, then laughed. Thank you, your highness. He thought he had brought along a mere girl, but she proved to be of value. Earning him a bonus, giving Yin Shuang a good look, second prince said. Ancestor, could you wake her up? I have some questions. Easy. Ancestor Huang Mei nodded and pulled out a vial from his ring. He hovered it under Yun Shuang's nose and said, This is my prized narcotic, 1,000 Years Dream. Not even a radiant stage expert can fight it. Their only chance at waking up is if I help them. Ancestor's skills are amazing. I am in awe. Second prince cupped his hands, then waited for Yun Shuang to wake up 15 minutes later. With a melodious sound, Yun Shuang stirred. The first thing she saw was the second prince's warped smile. She cried, Ah, second prince. Miss, there's no need to fear. You are a valued guest of my manor. You're safe here. Grinning, second prince made a gesture for silence. Yun Shuang looked at him distraught. She shuddered backwards as she took in his accomplices with a heavy heart. Her 5th layer of profound heaven stage could hardly count as anything against the 9th layer profound heaven experts around. To say nothing of the 5 radiant stage experts, the biggest shock was the yellow eyebrow ancestor. In the 8th layer of radiant stage, looking at so many big shots around her, all she saw was death. Then she glanced at Zhuofan, having the sweetest dreams imaginable, and shook him. Steward Zhua, wake up! Wake up! No use. Zhuofan was sleeping like a baby. Ha ha ha, miss, save your energy. Only my antidote can wake him. Ancestor Huang Mei laughed. Yin Shuang bit her lip, growing frantic and fearful of the men around her. She knew Zhuofan couldn't do a damn thing as he was, but she stuck close to him either way. The closer she was, the safer she felt, snickering inside. The second prince put on a genial smile. Miss Shuanger, I've heard of you being a holy maiden, but with all of Parish's rules and other obstacles, I've never had the pleasure of paying you a visit. Imagine my surprise when you came to me instead. You honor and humble me with your presence. Humph! What valuable guest! You kidnapped us. Yun Shuang scoffed. Second prince laughed. True, but it's fine. All that matters is that you are in my home, and that makes you a guest. And let me tell you, I do know how to treat my guests. Though there is just one small detail that has been vexing me for a long, long time. Something that I hope you can clarify for me." "What?" Yun Shuang, asked second prince, gave a deep bow. "I've heard that Miss is the same as the high priest, with eyes that can read the heavens, able to look into a person's fate. Would it be possible to glimpse upon mine? Am I?" Second prince was getting excited and shouted, "Fit to rule!" "Not in your life." Yun Shuang was stubborn and shot him down there, and then, by Yun clan's ancestral teachings, we have always been neutral. We look after the people, not the rulers. Peeking into the empire's fate is taboo and against the Yun clan's principles. I cannot help you." Second prince's face fell, and he snorted. "I see, ancestral teachings, is it? Why, then I heard that 20 years ago, the high priest had read Huangpu Qingtian's fate. How is that the same?" Yun Shuang explained. Huangpu Qingtian was a child then. His fate was full of twists and turns. He had yet to mature into someone being fit to rule. You, on the other hand, are fully grown and have fewer turning points. If you do have a dragon's disposition, it will come to pass more often than not. And reading it will mean revealing heaven's plan, inviting heaven's wrath, and bringing hell upon the masses. She shouldn't have said that. Now the second prince's heart was thrumming in his chest out of excitement when Huangpu Qingtian died. His fate as an emperor wasn't certain, and even if he had the disposition of a king, he still couldn't overcome the tribulation called Zhuofan. But the second prince was different. His fate was set in stone. Once determined, it would come to pass. Summing it up, all Holy Maiden had to do was to say that he had it in him to be an emperor, and no one would stop him. He'd have a smooth sailing towards the throne. Second prince's delusion of grandeur grew so much that his eyes were bloodshot. "What are you waiting for then? Bask your eyes on my regal self. Tell me if I have what it takes to reach the top." "I told you already. I mustn't." Second prince held a 5th grade spiritual sword and poked at Zhuofan's throat in his lunacy. "I heard you too are close. Look already, or he dies." "Easy, your highness. He is, after all, the one his majesty bestowed the best steward beneath heaven's title. We will also have to answer if anything happens to him." Someone urged in the second prince's ear. Second prince glared and roared. "Codswallop! Once I take the throne, best steward beneath heavens isn't worth shit." He now turned to Yun Shuang and threatened, "Look, or I will kill him. Didn't the Yun clan always come to people's aid? Are you going to let this man suffer?" Yun Shuang was torn. She couldn't watch him die, nor go against her ancestors' teachings. She just couldn't choose. She glanced at Zhuofan's dreamy face and recalled her grandfather's warning. Zhuofan was an anomaly that changed fates, and she was to guide him on the straight and narrow path. Recalling Zhuofan's selfless act of jumping in front of her to meet the poison, she finally made her choice. Zhuofan had to survive. "Fine, I will." Yun Shuang nodded. Second prince was jubilant. He took back the sword and straightened his tunic. "Then, Holy Maiden, if you please." Yun Shuang closed her eyes, and the next time she opened them they turned into a sucking abyss. Just that in that endless darkness faint glimmers shone, like stars after a while. She regained her normal sight and sighed. "What is it, Holy Maiden? Am I?" Second prince couldn't control himself with joy. Yun Shuang nodded with a relaxed smile. "How fortunate. You are not fit to rule. I didn't go against my ancestors. Oh, such a blessing." Boom. Second prince's mind exploded. His face twitched as he babbled. Holy Maiden, aren't you mistaken? Do it again. Grandfather has taught me since I was a child. There's no mistake." Yun Shuang stated, "You are unfit for the throne. Don't waste your breath. But I will tell you this, my kindness to you. The path you tread is fraught with danger towards eternal doom. Turn back and you may live a life of peace. If you don't—" "You damn liar! You dare to deceive me? I'll kill you!" With a roar, the second prince denied this wretched fate with all his being and even lost his mind. Holding out his sword again, He slashed at Yun Shuang. Yun Shuang shrieked and curled. The sword failed to cut even a hair from her head as it clanged in the vise of a dragon claw. What came next was the cackle of a demon. Ha ha ha, you fool! Even if you were fit to rule, the instant you grabbed me, your fate was doomed. Chapter 372, Leveling the Prince's Home. Chapter 372, Leveling the Prince's Home. Elite Coder. Clang. With a sharp and faint sound, the second prince's prized 5th grade spiritual sword snapped in two in that dragon claw's grip. To everyone's horror, Zhuo Fan stood proud and tall before Yun Shuang, roaming his cold gaze on the guards and stopping on the second prince with a snicker. Simply because of a declined invite you decided to kidnap me? I gotta hand it to you, that takes guts. Zzz Zhuo Fan. Second prince babbled, staggering back in fright. Yun Shuang burst in joy at the high and mighty figure. Steward Zhuo, are you all right? Ha ha ha, never been better. Like I said, stick with me and you'll be going places. Only I can push others around. The others won't ever get the chance. Stick with me and no one will touch you. Zhuo Fan gave a thumbs up and a grin, going back to showing off his swag. Yun Shuang giggled and blushed. His jokes worked wonders in easing her worries. Ancestor Huang Mei cried in disbelief. How? Only I can wake you from my 1,000 years dream. If there's one thing I don't care about, that's poison. Be it narcotic or necrotic, they got nothing on me. I am where I am because neither Regent Estate nor the likes of those 7 houses, Pilking Hall included, could cope with me. So what could a rookie like you do? I only faked being asleep. Curious as to who had the nerve to pull something like this. Squinting, Zhuo Fan kept on mocking, his hand swirling with black energy as he turned to the second prince. Lo and behold, it was this dumbass. Something's still bugging me, though. How in God's name did the wise and shrewd majesty end up with this gung-ho fool of a son? Even Miss Schwanger's reading proves you are the farthest thing from a ruler. Does that make you not a prince? Yun Shuang giggled and punched her cute fist on Zhuo Fan's chest, then rolled her eyes. Second prince's shock had now turned into full-blown rage. His breathing ragged as he glared at Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan had spat the bastard right in his face. And the all-important prince had only one logical reaction to this, to snap at this naked humiliation. Ancestor Huang Mei, what are you standing around for? Get that miscreant. Second prince roared and pointed at Zhuo Fan. Ancestor Huang Mei had had enough as well and shot yellow smoke for Zhuo Fan. You little scamp, do you think everyone is beneath you? Have a taste of my power, 1,000 years dream. Yun Shuang ducked behind Zhuo Fan, who only smirked in disdain as the black energy covered them. Who? The yellow smoke wrapped around the two in seconds. Ancestor Huang Mei stuck his head out in pride at the second prince, but an explosion cut his chance at boasting. The yellow smoke went for a spin, and as it did it only got thinner to reveal the black mass in the center. Demon transformation art. Zhuo Fan called the blackness back inside, his eyes looking icier by the second. What happened to my 1,000 years dream? Ancestor Huang Mei stammered. Zhuo Fan looked at him with a cold stare, his voice dripping with malice. Ate it. Ancestor Huang Mei was sweating buckets. Zhuo Fan was more of a monster than the rumors had him pegged. He had shrugged the narcotic off like it was nothing. The ancestor knew Zhuo Fan was a body cultivator. His greatest weapon were his own 2 fists. Now that the narcotic was a bust, a poison user like him was a sitting duck, fated to die at the crazed Zhuo Fan. That being the case, his best and only choice of action would be to run like hell. Ancestor Huang Mei gave a quick salute to the second prince and said without the slightest hesitation, Your Highness, may fate allow us to meet again, fare the well. Oh, and don't forget, Your Highness still owes me 12 pills. Ancestor Huang Mei flicked his sleeve and ran like the yellow wind he was. Second prince stomped in anger. This old coot can't do a damn thing and still expects me to pay? I hate his type the most. He didn't get to curse, though, as the yellow wind slammed back into the yard, hard ancestor Huang Mei was sprawled on the ground, blood leaking from his mouth. Next to him was Zhuo Fan's cold face, his red flashing, right hand clutching the old man's neck. Humph! You mess with me, and now you want to run? You think you can just get away with it? Zhuo Fan's eyes shone with savagery. Ancestor Huang Mei cried, Steward Zhuo, spare me! Second prince made me. Pa! A resounding cuff over the old guy's face cut his whining short. Zhuo Fan snickered. We both know I'm no fool, so stop stating the obvious. While he is the culprit, you are his lackey. In both cases, no one's leaving this place alive. SSS. Gasping, Ancestor Huang Mei was overwhelmed by Zhuo Fan's capacity for cruelty, going so far as to kill any who wronged him if he had known. He'd never have accepted the job even for 20 pills. As the black energy oozed out from Zhuo Fan, and he noticed the naked bloodthirst in his eyes, Ancestor Huang Mei turned white as paper, including his eyebrows, as he begged, Wait, Steward Zhuo, don't kill me! Let me go, and I'll do anything. Isn't your Luo clan newly promoted? You must be short on men. I am an 8th layer radiant stage expert. I can stand on your side. Pledge my life to you. The black energy hovered for a second while Zhuo Fan was weighing the proposition. Ancestor Huang Mei's eyes lit up and he grasped at straws. Too late, though, as Zhuo Fan shook his head and the black energy shot forth. Sorry, we already have a poisoner, the alchemy house's elder, vicious pill king. We don't need you. Him? He's just a profound heaven cultivator, while I'm in the radiant stage. Ancestor Huang Mei cried. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Ha ha ha. I've handpicked every elder of the Luo clan myself. None of them will balk in the face of death. This is where you fall short. Zhuo Fan punctuated by having the black energy swallow Ancestor Huang Mei whole. Funny how he did the same thing Ancestor Huang Mei had done to him. The stark contrast was that the black energy was far deadlier. Everyone had a front row seat to Ancestor Huang Mei's miracle diet. He was thinning under the naked eye, swallowed by the black mass, his face twisted every second. The diet only came to an end when his very being was reduced to absolutely nothing. Second prince crumbled to the ground in horror. His radiant stage men were all shaking as well, holding their lord as they made a slow crawl backward. Zhuo Fan was only in the 3rd layer of profound heaven, yet to everyone present he was nothing short of Tianyu's #1 expert, a freak. With how even Ancestor Huang Mei was dust in the wind, how could they fare any better? Yun Shuang pursed her lips, watching the cold stone killer with fear. It was a first for her. To watch a man die through such means. Grandfather had told her that he was the vilest person to walk this earth, and she was there to set him straight. But they were chatting and laughing just a little while ago. He even jumped to her defense in her dire need. He looked nothing like an evil spawn. Only now did she come face to face with Zhuo Fan's cruel and insidious nature clap. Zhuo Fan showed an evil grin, seeing the empty space in front of him, then turned to the pretty boy and his gang shaking like a leaf. The second prince turned guileless, acting like a bad boy who had gotten caught and huddling with his guards while waiting for punishment. As Steward Zhuo, I know my mistake. I won't do it again, honest. Please let me go just this once. Second prince's voice quivered. Zhuo Fan got before him and snickered. Next time? If there ever will be a next time, that old fart's death will look like a joy ride compared to yours. Got that? Why, yeah. Second prince's teeth clattered as he bobbed his head. The guards kept mum. Despite the clear humiliation their lord was facing, what else could they do? They could fight the monster to their last breath, but would it do any good? Who'd be dumb enough to mess with this savage that not even the 7 houses dare to? Oh, right, the second prince is one. They all were wailing inside, though neither criticized their lord out loud. Zhuo Fan saw him rooted in place and patted his cheek, warningly. For your pretty boy face, I'll leave it at that. Second prince eased his breath, but Zhuo Fan kept on talking. Though I won't go easy on you either. Leaving you with a little homework will do good for your character. Zhuo Fan's right hand flashed red, and he smashed the ground the savage's fist leveled Prince's home. Chapter 373 The Worst Evil. Chapter 373 The Worst Evil. Elite Coder. A red wave shot out from the point of impact. The sudden explosion blew the entire area it covered, pulverizing anything within 100 miles and sending the sand sky-high. Second Prince's group was too out of it to notice the floating sand that had buried them the next second. All that they knew was gone in a wink. That included the 80-mile-wide residence of the Second Prince, as well as the surrounding buildings in the aftermath of Zhuo Fan's fist. The entire imperial capital shook, reaching the brink of collapse in the imperial palace's gardens. The emperor was having another round of chess with Sima Hui. Only this time, the emperor wasn't as peaceful. With all the players coming to the imperial capital, it had gotten even the emperor to worry. A large earthquake happened and flipped the chessboard. The emperor shouted, "What is it now?" "Your Majesty, we only know that it came from the Second Prince's manor." A guard reported the emperor was glum and snapped, "What has the old second done this time? Go find out. Right away." The guard rushed away. Sima Hui paused, then cupped his hands. "Your Majesty, that wasn't just a small commotion. May I go check on the Second Prince? I fear for the worse." The emperor waved him off with a sigh. Sima Hui bowed and shot to the skies at the prime minister's residence. A man in black was whispering in Zhuge Changfeng's ear. But the sudden rumbling broke all the pottery. Zhuge Changfeng stared for a moment, then mocked. The young sure are bold. That little monster isn't easy to handle, even for me. Yet that lame-brain kid went and provoked him. Ha. That's a calf for you, ignorant and foolish. This lesson, I reckon, ought to be a cruel one." Zhuge Changfeng closed his eyes, and a faint smile appeared meanwhile at Hell Valley's residence in the imperial capital. Yuan Shan and his elders were in a small room when the earth wobbled under their feet. Though it never broke their calm, he finally acted and got crushed at last. Yuan Shan sighed. They knew since long ago that the Second Prince wanted Zhuo Fan on his side. They weren't the Second Prince's first allied house for nothing. They even gave a stern reminder to that half-wit. Zhuo Fan was one tough customer, but they figured, did this obstinate twerp no good advice when he heard one? It would only work to incite him. So these wise foggies shut the door in his face instead of being under the same heel of that savage as the Second Prince was right now. Zhuo Fan's action was loud and clear for everyone. Yuan Shan turned to Ming. This kid is too rash. Is cooperation still viable? We have no choice, not when all eyes are on Regent Estate. The fodder is always the first to fall, and that is what we will become if we stick too close to it. Of all the princes, the eldest prince is too shrewd to side with, and the third prince sloppy, leaving the Second Prince as the only viable pawn with some use. The choice was made for us. Yu Ming side, we are at the crossroads. Hell Valley's posse side as well. How could we be so foolish to end up like this? The other players also noticed the obvious flagrant disturbance. Fatty and Princess Yongning were gunning for the Second Prince's home when the earthquake struck, followed by a wave of sand. It pressed so heavy on them, they found it hard to even breathe once the sand settled. Princess Yongning blew it away with a gale. Imperial capital is a picturesque landscape. Where did all this sand come from? I bet that brat had something to do with it. Paling, Fatty wiped his brow as he sped up while muttering, I hope we're not too late. They say the kid is hell-bent on toying with others. Hope he hasn't made his move yet. Princess Yongning asked, Third brother, did you say something? If we are too late, we'll be seeing the second brother's corpse. No, there might not even be a corpse left. For God's sake, what is wrong with the second brother to keep harassing that guy? Fatty face-bombed. Princess Yongning was clueless. Aren't we going to save Zhuo Fan and Yin Shuang? Why is the second brother the one in danger? That freak never needed our help from the beginning. You think the second brother's thugs can hold him? Who knows what state the second brother will be in after Zhuo Fan's done with him? I sure hope there's still a breath left in there somewhere. The fatty shook his head, and Yongning looked more than a bit puzzled. You mean to tell me that Zhuo Fan is so amazing that even as a victim, he is the one wrecking second brother's home? And that he'd go as far as to kill a prince? Oh, Yongning, these matters are beyond what your pretty little head can comprehend. The world is filled with evil, but Zhuo Fan takes the cake, the worst evil of all. It's fine if you don't step on his toes, but once you do, God help you. There is no low he won't stoop to. The fatty sighed. Do you know the Regent Estate's eldest young master? Do you know what a hero he was? Well, even he didn't get away, ending up being bitten to death by Zhuo Fan. From then on, the saying, you can mess with the king of hell, but never with Zhuo Fan, spread everywhere. Yongning blinked her putty eyes. Yet no matter how gruesome a picture Fatty painted, it only worked to incite her to figure Zhuo Fan out. I wonder, just who is this worst evil to make the whole world, even princes and regent estate, fear him? Her step quickened. To save second brother, sure, but more so to see with her own eyes the oddity. Called Zhuo Fan, the streets flashed by, and the duo arrived in no time at the scene of the crime. But the scenery had them speechless. The grand second prince's mansion was nowhere to be found. Replaced by sand and more sand, all the people stared around, dumbfounded at the desert in the heart of the flourishing imperial capital. Two people were noticed in the vast sea of sand, Zhuo Fan and Yun Shuang. The girl was even standing on a tile, as if to not mar her beauty. Nevertheless, the sudden change in scenery even had Yun Shuang slack-jawed. It finally dawned on her. Steward Zhuo was not just evil, but a calamity, one whose very existence was to torment others. Yun Shuang's eyes flashed with resolve as she stared at him. Ugh. Groans came from the guards as their heads popped out of the sand. They paled at the world of sand around them and shouted, His Highness! Where is His Highness? Zhuo Fan's first order of business was his trademark evil smile, and then strolling before a flat portion of sand. He shoved his hand in and pulled. His harvest, a pale human being, and not just any human, but the second prince himself, Yuan Yong, just that the guy was in torn clothes and a retarded look painted on his face. Without the cocky attitude, he looked more like a refugee, shivering all over. Second prince! The guard shouted, but stopped the instant they saw Zhuo Fan's cold gaze. Zhuo Fan smiled and shook the prince like a rag. You on the throne, right? Hi, hi, hi. What a wonderful dream. See how I'll peel the respect off of you, flogging you on the streets of the imperial capital and subjecting you to all humiliations imaginable. Such a prince can never get the throne, since he has no respect to speak of, unless he's the only successor. Zhuo Fan squinted, as if he was teaching. Second prince was shaking like a leaf, his head too. And no, I beg you, please don't do this to me, or I can never remain a prince. Brother, please do me a solid and leave the second brother be. A simple laughter echoed. Zhuo Fan knew who he was, pinpointing the incoming wobbling ball of lard. Ha ha ha, Fatty, you sure are a worthy brother. I'm sure you know of my temper by now. Yet this second brother of yours had the balls to kidnap me. Zhuo Fan finished with 2 resounding slaps on the second prince's face, so strong that he spat 2 teeth and blood. Then he resumed in his standard evil tone. I merely want to tie him up and parade him in the streets. Besides, I'm only trying to help. Who knows what idiotic and retarded idea some other miscreant will come up with next to use against me. I am not a patient man and don't feel like dealing with each one of them. Fatty nodded. Brother Zhuo, I see. The world is crawling with ignorant and reckless people, but he is my second brother. Please let him go. You already made an example of him, right? Ha! Yeah, you turned the second brother into looking like this, and leveled his house. Isn't that enough revenge? Princess Yongning pouted, glaring at Zhuo Fan, yet she couldn't put her heart in it. She was even partial to Zhuo Fan. By speaking of revenge, she was justifying Zhuo Fan's actions. The fatty twitched and rolled his eyes. He knew Yongning didn't mean it, but still felt forlorn. He is your second brother, while you've only seen Juefan in passing a few times. What are you doing giving an outsider an excuse to trash your family? Have you finally got your eyes on someone? Chapter 374, Fated Marriage. Chapter 374, Fated Marriage. Elite Coder, looking at the fatty and Yongning, Juefan laughed. All right, I guess I can spare the kid for your sake. But get this straight, you two owe me one each. And sooner or later, you're going to pony up. Ah, brother, we only have one second brother. Let him go, and we will owe you a favor, of course. But what are you doing asking one from each of us? The fatty's face darkened. Juefan's eyebrow rose as he chuckled. It's not my fault that both of you asked me to let him go. That makes it two favors. When the time comes and I need you, you better own up. Damn grubber. That was the unanimous thought on everyone's mind. But the more they looked at the second prince, hanging by a thread in Juefan's claw, the more they had to nod. Juefan laughed and threw away his pawn. He went to Yun Shuang and said to Fatty, let's stop here. When I need something, I'll be sure to drop by. See ya. And left with Yun Shuang. Princess Yongning rushed to hold Yun Shuang back. I and Shuanger are practically sisters and wish to get together after not having seen each other for ages. I mean, Shuanger must be shaking from that terrible fright, and as her sister, it is my duty to look after her. Third brother, you go on without me. Yongning, I am not really. Yun Shuang explained, but Yongning shot him a look. Juefan snickered. Princess Yongning, Shuanger is a profound heaven expert, while you are far below her. Why would she need you? Humph. How about this then? When a girl suffers a devastating trauma, it is irrelevant to one's cultivation. What do you men know? Yongning's eyebrows kept moving as he taunted. Juefan Fatty frowned. Yongning, that's enough. You think I can't tell what you're up to. You're trying to get out of being grounded. Even if you do go with Miss Yun Shuang to perish, Imperial Father will have someone drag you back. Oh, Fatty, you're mistaken about something. Miss Yun Shuang is coming to Prosperity Compound, to be with the Luo clan and not returning to perish. What? The two jerked in shock, then looked at Yun Shuang. She was the holy maiden of Perish, the next in line to be its clan head. Then why did the high priest send her off to someone else? Yun Shuang's eyes reddened, and she nodded. Grandfather had me become steward, she was attendant, and tend to his needs. Nanny? Needs. Smiley face. Nanny is the literal translation here. Loan word from Japanese, meaning what? Guess author tried making a funny. Fatty's eyes burned with a fire not even the second brother's plight could stir. Juefan, you vile beast. I used to think you were only 90% evil, but now I see that you're capable of stooping so low as to even force yourself on innocent maidens. Talk! How did you blackmail the high priest into making such a humiliating decision? Princess Yongning glared at Juefan and stopped in front of Yun Shuang, whispering, Shuanger, don't worry. I won't let this vile demon lay his claws on you. Juefan glanced at the two and shrugged. Yun Shuang was waving all over the place. Beet red, you've got it all wrong. It's not like that at all. Grandfather found Steward Jua too evil and wanted me to guide him. That's why. Oh, I see. The two royalties saw the light at long last. Fatty only gave Juefan a long look and sighed. Miss Yun Shuang, your clan strives for the betterment of the people, which I admire, but I must stress one important fact. This person, or whatever you want to call him, doesn't have just evil proclivities, but is pure undiluted evil, a demon, a wretched, revolting, vile spawn that even hell spat. Hey, wasn't I only 90% evil? How did I become pure evil? I haven't forced a lady in my entire life, now have I? Juefan rolled his eyes. Fatty mocked. What does that count? With your infamy, such an act is second nature to you. You've got a point there. Juefan nodded pensively. The girls giggled next to Juefan. When Juefan didn't flip out, he was quite a nice-ish human being. He didn't bother with the details, nor was pedantic. Quite refreshing compared to some gentlemen. One would go, as far as to say that he was leagues above those self-righteous officials that, of course, applied to his time off of killing and unleashing mayhem. In any case, changing him is like moving mountains. Not getting corrupted yourself along the way is already a miracle. The fatty side, Luo clan's young miss, used to be so kind and polite, but now I hear she's been broken in, shrewd and cunning. All the more reason I should stay with Schwanger, to not let her be led astray. Yongning found a good excuse for once. Fatty shook his head. Do what you will, but don't think I'll take the blame when the imperial father hears about this. Yongning giggled and hugged Schwanger close. Even kissed her Zhua Fan, didn't argue either, leaving with a salute to Fatty. As for Tubby, he had to stay behind to clean up all this mess and calm down the traumatized second prince, but the Fatty did care for his sister, not forgetting to give Zhua Fan some stern warnings. Zhua Fan took her with open arms, of course. Who knows? The apple of the emperor's, I might hold some use yet. In every moment of every hour, the only thing on Zhua Fan's mind was the grand scheme of things. Even while trashing the second prince, he still knew when to stop. As to not yet set the imperial family against him, but letting him off easy was out of the question, as well each and every word he spoke to the second prince was beautifully woven in meanings beyond mere rebukes. Second prince knew now that he was not cut out for the throne, and in his moment of despair, Zhua Fan gave him a good nudge. Kill the rest, and you'll be the true successor. The imperial family was boiling on the inside, and all he had to do was to be a patient angler. In the tripartite plan, everyone wanted out of the deadlock, but neither wanted to stick their neck out. That only leaves forcing them to stick out. The emperor uplifted the Luo clan with the same purpose in mind, and Zhua Fan incited the second prince for the same thing. I'm only curious if Fatty figured it all out, since he stopped me from giving further advice to the second prince. Not that it made a difference. The seed of a power play has already bloomed in the second prince's heart. Glancing at the dazed second prince, laying on the sand, Zhua Fan showed a grin, then walked away with the girl's Fatty, turned from Zhua Fan to his second brother, and sighed. An hour later, Zhua Fan arrived at the regent of Prosperity's compound. All of the Luo clan was in awe after his short explanation of the fact Zhua Fan was out on a stroll to perish, yet returned with not just the great holy maiden, but a princess young miss, settle them in. I will be in seclusion for 3 days, Zhua Fan said to Luo Yunchang, and walked out back. Luo Yunchang nodded and took the guests to their rooms. On their way, she turned a hopeful gaze to Yun Shuang. Miss Schwanger, can you really read fate? N. Yun Shuang nodded, puzzled and sighed. Where is this young miss going with this? Does she also want to know if the Luo clan is fit for power? She couldn't be further from the truth. Luo Yunchang blushed as she said, Miss Schwanger, could you perhaps look into my fated marriage? Ah. Yun Shuang was stumped, then sighed. A girl's heart, sure, isn't like a man's. She smiled. Of course. Luo Yunchang laughed. Please tell me when my wedding will come. Yun Shuang nodded, and her eyes turned into sucking abysses. Once she returned from her reading. Odd. Your wedding should have long passed. It's not necessarily bad, but I find that it was broken at some point in time. Maybe. Her eyes shone for a second. Then she shook her head. Forgive me, but I cannot see your wedding. Why? Luo Yunchang cried. Yun Shuang sighed. Because of Steward Zhua. Your wedding should have been 8 years ago. But Steward Zhua, who is outside fate, changed it, changed your fated marriage. This drove your current fate into chaos, and I can no longer see it. You mean he broke my fated wedding? That makes him responsible, right? Luo Yunchang's eyes shined in glee. Yun Shuang was startled, then nodded. Ostensibly, he is of some fault. Great. Thanks, Miss Yun Shuang. Luo Yunchang had never been happier. Yun Shuang was clueless. Yongning at the side shook her head and said, Schwanger, what about mine? Meanwhile, in a dark, damp cell, a grizzled and bloody old man was nailed to a pole. His shoulder blades had been run through. He was robbed of his cultivation, and was on his last breath. He was the parish's high priest. Yun Xuanji, he was surrounded by shadows. High priest, you crossed the line. An aged and familiar voice came from behind the veil. The high priest gave a weak laugh. Yun clan has always strived for the people. We've never crossed it, unlike you. Did you talk about it to anyone, including Zhuo Fan? The voice turned cold. The high priest shook his head. That matter is too dangerous and can't be spread. I will never harm the common man. Well done. Whoosh! A chain flew from behind the veil and into the high priest's heart. The high priest shuddered and his head slumped. Ha ha ha. Since he didn't talk, the game is still on. The cold and sinister laugh came again. Chapter 375 Ill Tidings. Chapter 375 Ill Tidings. Elite Coder. In 100 square meter stone room. Zhuo Fan nodded after looking around, although not as huge as the second prince's compound. The Regent of Prosperity's compound had everything. Not a bad cultivating room. He set up a body refinement array on the floor and took out the Abyss Phantom Butterfly's wings, instead of turning it into a flying demonic treasure. He'd gotten so used to having wings that Zhuo Fan found it a better choice to have them stick on his back, tracing his hand over the 20-meter-long blue wings. Zhuo Fan sighed and grinned. He was mighty pleased when the crown prince came bearing this gift, staring at the dazzling light show from below and feeling the coolness from the array. Zhuo Fan's hand moved through the gestures along with a flash of lightning. The wings slowly melted into the array. Zhuo Fan trembled, having since refined the Qilin leg. Doing the same with a mere 7th-level spiritual beast's wings was a cinch. Even the shattering of his bones got no reaction out of him. Zhuo Fan sat in the array for 3 days, with eyes closed, uncaring for the outside matters. All this time the array worked its magic in reconstructing his body in every which way. But it always returned to his original form. In the end, Zhuo Fan opened his eyes and stood up. His back writhed and spectral wings unfolded, releasing a charming and enrapturing aura with a flap. A gale took the room by the storm. It was then that the shades of blue shone all over and wrapped around Zhuo Fan, as if he was walking among blue sunshine. Zhuo Fan knew his body best. If there was any expert near him, the glow would have sent him to dreamland. It all depends on one's soul strength, but the least it can do is buy me a moment. Thus, this 3rd-layer profound heaven stage cultivator with his new 7th-level spiritual beast wings not only had his speed bolstered, but that blue glow around him made for a natural defense. It was a neat trick, good in offense and defense. Independent of his actions, Zhuo Fan laughed in pride. With a twitch of his brows, the wings withdrew, and he walked outside. His mood soured, though, when his right eye stung. With a hum, a blue glare shot from his eye, and 3 golden halos flashed within it. Divine Eye of the Void. 3rd stage. Zhuo Fan was stunned, and then laughed again. By sheer luck, his refining actually upgraded his Divine Eye of the Void. When he thought about the 3rd stage's skill, he knew why. It was because of resonance. Taking a different path towards the same goal, it would have taken him far longer otherwise, but since he got it already, he wasn't about to look a gift horse in the mouth. He got stronger, didn't he? He could finally put up a fight against an ethereal stage expert that had his blood boiling. Briskly walking outside, he was on the lookout for a good sparring partner to test the 3rd stage on rumbling. He creaked the stone door open, and the glaring sun's rays along with the fresh air lightened his mood. Now he'll fight me? Zhuo Fan roared before he got to play hide-and-seek with Li Jingtian and his other elders. Graceful curves approached, nudging him to be quiet. Steward Zhuo, all evil begins with violence. Please exercise restraint. Zhuo Fan was stunned. He turned around to see Yin Shuang there. Excessive is all I know. And how did you know I was coming out of seclusion? Zhuo Fan frowned. Did your eyes reveal it to you? Be that as it may, they can't see you. I've been waiting here all this time for you to come out. With a smile, Yin Shuang struck the image of a fairy as she handed him a towel. Here, freshen up after your toil, and let it brighten your day. Hold up, what are you up to? Zhuo Fan came to mid-wipe Yun Shuang's sweet smile came along with her genial tone. I am your attendant. It's in my job description. And I do need to guide you towards good. To do that, I will have to keep you happy all day, every day. Lest emotions run amok and you'll turn evil again. I also got you this. Yun Shuang took out a booklet. Zhuo Fan read the title, 3-character classic. Smiley face, a text written in the 13th century to help kids learn the language. Made up of 3-character verses. Easy to read and learn. Kiddie stuff. It's for children. Zhuo Fan blinked at Yun Shuang in daze. Yun Shuang nodded with a smile. People at birth are naturally good. It'll do good for your spirit. Try it. I won't read a goddamned word. I've roamed the world for too many years to have any use for Bint's teachings. Zhuo Fan slammed the book on the pavement and shoved his finger in her face. Miss Schwanger, I didn't ask you to be a servant, nor a tutor to right my wrong ways. I only need you to read the heavens and tell me the future. All you have to do is tell me what the other players are doing, and I can take it from there in figuring out their plans. With your eyes and my smarts, we will have control over everything. That's your role. Yun Shuang gave him a long look. Her smile deflated, and she picked up the book in sadness. Zhuo Fan shrugged and asked like nothing happened. Now, what have the factions been up to these days? I didn't look. Yun Shuang pouted, then stomped away. To save the people, you must have a righteous heart. Until you're re-educated, I won't even peek. You. Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth and spat. Then what are you still doing here if you aren't looking? I'm taking you back. We're going to Yun Xuanji and having him look. Zhuo Fan pulled her outside. Yun Shuang was so distressed. Tears welled up in her eyes. Dragged around, her feet left deep marks in the ground. Luo Yunchang and the princess were chatting merrily when they saw them was by, and caught up in distress. What's going on? Luo Yunchang only had to see Shuanger in tears to know. Zhuo Fan must have shown his evil side again. Zhuo Fan did the same thing back then, at the foot of Blackwind Mountain. Though these crass and harsh outbursts had tended to die down over the years of spending time around his clansmen, while to outsiders he had no restraint whatsoever. The vilest of the vile, Yun Shuang, hadn't been around him long enough to see this side. Anyone who'd witnessed one of his rage episodes would be just as frightened shielding Shuanger. Luo Yunchang glared at Zhuo Fan. Steward Zhuo, what did Shuanger do for you to scare her like this? Yeah, Shuanger is so kind, doing everything you ask of her. You must be at fault here, to pick on our Shuang. Princess Yongning puffed out her chest, hugging Yun Shuang close. Apologize this instant, or I'm telling Imperial Father. Zhuo Fan looked at the 3 of them and sighed. It hasn't been that long, and these girls are already a clique. Shaking his head, Zhuo Fan took a long breath to cool his jets. Princess Yongning, are you going to His Majesty to get me punished? Tell me then, has the second prince's matter settled? Of course, but that is all because of the third brother asking you to take it as the second brother's fault. The Imperial Father wouldn't have wasted words with you and would have had you. The princess looked mighty, pleased. Zhuo Fan snickered inside. Fatty's request was only to save the Emperor's hide. In the current state of things, where all factions were at a stalemate, if the imperial family moved against the Luo clan, Regent Estate would be celebrating it was waiting for the Luo clan and the imperial family to fight, so it could deal with them both in one fell swoop. The imperial family wasn't about to blow all pretense for a mere second prince, only to suffer in the end. Zhuo Fan was sure of it. Only this ignorant princess was still delusional. Thinking that the emperor was the number 1 in the world, Zhuo Fan turned to Yun Shuang. Having vented his earlier rage, turned serious. Miss Shuanger, when your grandfather put you in my care, he said many things. But one thing he did stress, that you are useful. If you can't help me, what reason do I have for keeping you? Our clan doesn't need 2 bickering matrons. Luo Yunchang's eyes went red, and she glared at him. Yet positively giddy inside the bickering matron he was referring to just now had to be her, whether unintended by the speaker or by the listener's delusions, for Zhuo Fan who was the steward, to say matron. She took it as if it was more than that. Smiley face, it's a pun. Is steward and lit. Means steward's wife, but also busybody housekeeper. When Luo Yunchang looked at Zhuo Fan, her gaze drifted and her heart fluttered Zhuo Fan, though only had eyes for Yun Shuang, waiting for an answer. Yun Shuang broke out of the princess's and Luo Yunchang's hug, then stormed out of the door. Zhuo Fan sighed, this works out just as well. With Yun clan neutral, he didn't fear that Holy Maiden would end up in another faction. Yun Shuang opened the door and bumped into an 8-year-old child. Throwing him to the ground, Yun Shuang cried, Xiao Dongzi, what are you doing here? Sister Shuanger. Xiao Dongzi sobbed, grandfather is dead. What? Yun Shuang seized and paled. The calm Zhuo Fan also froze, and then an incredulous look appeared on his face. Someone killed 4 pillars, high priest, demigod Yun Xuanji. Who dares commit such an outrageous crime in the heart of the empire? Chapter 376, Sealed Capital. Chapter 376, Sealed Capital. Elite Coder. Yun Shuang refused to believe it. She was stiff for a minute and then bolted for Parish. Call the elders! We're going as well. Zhuo Fan shouted. Luo Yunchang nodded and called them. Li Jingtian and the power couple arrived. They were around the young miss and princess, protecting them as they went along to Parish at the parish. Xiao Dongzi took them to where Yun Xuanji received guests, but what they saw inside had everyone stunned. Yun Xuanji was still in his seat, but covered in blood. He was clearly more than a little roughed up, his eyes gouged and his head slumped. Grandfather! Yun Shuang held the body and cried. Luo Yunchang and the princess were taken in by sadness, going to her to soothe her pain, having lost her father as well. Luo Yunchang could relate with Shuanger's pain. Her eyes grew red and tears soon fell. Zhuo Fan watched it all with a critical eye, turning to Li Jingtian. What do you guys make of this? The Yun clan has stood for 1,000 years in Tianyu, always neutral and respected. Not to mention it is the 3rd pillar. Just who could have done this at such a crucial time? Li Jingtian frowned. Xiao Yanhai nodded as well. He's been reduced to such a state, yet everything around him lies undisturbed and clean. That means he was brought here dead. Moreover, were his eyes scooped up because of their ability to see fate? If it were just for the eyes, Yun clan would have long since been kidnapped in the past 1,000 years. The death of Yun Xuanji is for a different reason, and since he died, the killer took his eyes while he was at it to do a little research. Gasping, Zhuo Fan spoke with calm, but his mind replayed his encounter with Yun Xuanji. He found Yun Xuanji's tone odd at the time. The way he gave his granddaughter away felt less like gaining a helper rather than fulfilling the old man's will. Did he see his end coming? Zhuo Fan squinted as his thoughts wandered. Luo Yunchang said, You're all experts. After all this talking, have you found who killed Shuanger's grandfather or not? Yun Shuang's sobbing stopped and her ears sharpened. Princess looked interested as well. The imperial capital is in troubled waters right now. Who knows who did it? Zhuo Fan shrugged. What matters now is finding a safe place for the Yun clan. Now I know why Yun Xuanji gave me Shuanger. It was his final wish, having foreseen his own death. It's all my fault. With grandfather always doing the reading, I never tried doing it on him. If only I'd been more aware. Yun Shuang's tears resumed from pain. The 2 girls rushed to console her. Zhuo Fan smiled. Don't blame yourself. Your grandfather did it with this in mind. For his principles, the high priest knew he was at his end and chose to go like this. I truly admire his resolve and righteousness. To honor him, I will not only look after you, but your clan as well. Young miss, what do you say? Of course. Luo Yunchang nodded. With resolve, Yun Shuang wiped her tears, moved by her new sister's kindness. Then she said to Zhuo Fan, Forgive me, Steward Zhuo. I always took you for a demon, but you aren't even a bad man. Thank you. It's fine. I'm quite the baddie sometimes, you know. Ha! Zhuo Fan had a vague smile. With the imperial capital in unrest and the Yun clan without a leader, it will become the pawn of every player in pursuit for power. I propose that we move the Yun clan to Black Wind Mountain. There they will be safe. What do you think? It's great, but Yun clan has thousands of people. Moving them all will require His Majesty's approval. Yun Shuang muttered. Zhuo Fan gave an evil grin. Fret not. Have you forgotten who I am? I am the best steward beneath heavens. Leave it to me. He handed Li Jingtian the cape that the emperor gave him. Elderly, take this and leave with the Yun clan as quickly as possible. You three will look after them. Once outside the imperial capital, send someone to report what has happened to the imperial palace. Understood. Li Jingtian nodded and bowed, but used silent transmission when he noticed Zhuo Fan's look. Steward Zhuo, when did you become a saint? It's not your style. Or did you suddenly take a liking to that miss? Stuff it. I'm not that dirty-minded. Snorting, Zhuo Fan sent back. Ignore what happens around you, and you'll soon be knee-deep in trouble. Every generation of the Yun clan has had a person that can read fate. With them in dire straits, it is the best chance to use them. You can't even see something that obvious? Li Jingtian got it at last, and gave Zhuo Fan a sneaky thumbs up. Steward Zhuo, you're stupendous. You're reaping rewards from the hard work of others. Cut the crapola. They're here to take the heat while we reap the fields. If the mastermind knew all his effort was in our favor, he'd probably have blown a gasket or two. Zhuo Fan snickered. Li Jingtian said, Steward Zhuo, then you know who? Can't say, but this game sure is fun. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone. Li Jingtian nodded and obeyed. With Yun Shuang as the clan head successor, she was most important. With her explanation, Yun clan accepted the transition. Now marching for the Luo clan's domain at the city gates, the guards were about to stop the mass of people. But Li Jingtian unfolded the best steward beneath heaven's cape. Shutting them up, everyone knew by now that the Luo clan had Zhuo Fan as the best steward beneath heavens, who was of immense power. He moved the armies and governed the nation's affairs. A man such as him was not to be stepped on by a bunch of guards. Hence, under the three elders' escort, Yun clan left the imperial capital. 10 miles out, they had someone report to the emperor. High priest is dead. The emperor slapped the armrest of his throne, then slumped in it as tears flowed. High priest, you've helped me and the people so much. How now that you left? Who will help me? Who will show me the way? Your Majesty, please restrain your grief. The death of the high priest affects the entire nation. I vow to find the killer and bring him to justice. Duguzhantian cupped his hands. He was in pain just as well. The high priest was the one to recommend him to the emperor. But in a time like this, he still kept the attitude of an upright Marshal Sima, who he advised. Your Majesty, Marshal Dugu is right. We need to find the culprit. For the third pillar, high priest, to die in our own backyard, this is a grave insult to our empire. It must be one of those factions. Your Majesty should summon and reprimand them. That's right. I have put up with those deceitful scoundrels for too long. They've gone too far. The emperor shouted. Duguzhantian, seal the city. No one gets in or out. Call for the 8 noble houses, Zhuge Changfeng and Yun clan survivors. I will question them personally. Understood. Duguzhantian bowed and rushed outside the imperial capital. Was abuzz. The army moved like lightning in sealing the gates. The small-time merchants were clueless as to the reason and closed up shop as well within minutes. There was not a trace of people on the main street. It had turned into a haunted city. Zhuo Fan and his people waited in the Yun clan, looking after the body. Hearing the disturbance outside, Zhuo Fan grinned. Music to my ears. Humph, you just want the world to burn. Yongning scoffed. Zhuo Fan nodded with a winsome smile. True, that's just who I am. How else do you expect me to use my bag full of tricks? And now it's only rowdy, not a complete stalemate. Zhuo Fan's gaze was sharp and deep. Meanwhile, on Regent Estate side, despite the hubbub outside, Huangpu Tianyuan, Lung Wuchang, and the elders sat quite casually in their seats in their hall. The door burst open, and Duga Lin in heavy armor stomped over. He cupped his hands. Estate Lord, by His Majesty's decree, please come to the Imperial Palace. What is it this time? Why all the commotion? Opening his lazy eyes, Huangpu Tianyuan said Duga Lin's reply was cold. High Priest Yun Xuanji was killed. His Majesty is tracking down the culprit. The High Priest is dead. All the calm left Huangpu Tianyuan, and even Lung Wuchang found it hard to believe the news spread like wildfire through the clans. Everyone beset with the same reaction among the cries of shock. There were many doubts as well. Who in this land dares to strike down the High Priest? Chapter 377, Court Debacle. Chapter 377, Court Debacle. Elite Coder. In the expansive palace, the emperor sat on his throne with a hard stare cast below Zhuofan. Huangpu Tianyuan and the house lords were on the left side, while Duga Zhantian, Zhuge Changfeng, and other officials were on the right. In the middle of the court lay the body of High Priest Yun Xuanji. Next to the body was his charming and sobbing granddaughter. Yun Xuang the 8 houses sighed at this loss, along with every official. The emperor eyed every single one of them before snapping. To lay a hand on Tianyu's high priest is to think of oneself above the law, a taunt to the empire. Every one of you here is a person of renown in your respective field, all vying for power. What do all of you make of the high priest's death? Your Majesty, High Priest seldom left his home and lived a dull life. Parish has few guards as well, being a peak profound heaven expert himself. The suspect could only be someone extraordinary, since it required power to kill him, and to move in and out without a sound. That would make the suspect someone with great sway within the empire. Dugu Zhantian bowed before the emperor and concluded his analysis, making sure to flick a cold gaze towards the left side at the end of his speech. Lung Wuchang caught it and snorted. Marshal Dugu's vague explanation clearly projects the blame on the 8 houses. But have you forgotten? Besides the 8 houses, Tianyu has another strong power, the 4 pillars, especially the first 2-inch. What did you say? Dugu Zhantian flared. Lung Wuchang, are you accusing me of something? Humph! I've always been above board, upright, and honest. I would never repay the high priest's kindness with such a vile act. Lung Wuchang flapped his fan open. Old Marshal, take it easy. I wasn't talking about you. It was a mere reminder to expand the list of suspects, to include everyone, lest the suspect slips away. Humph! In any case, I had nothing to do with the high priest's demise. I vow on my army's name, only the culprit knows who he is, but I will be damned sure to wring him out. Dugu Zhantian roared at the heavens. Lung Wuchang merely shook his head in disdain. The old guy is good at fighting, but he's dumb as a post when it comes to politics. He'll never find the killer in his life. Though this affair has gathered many big players and has a high potential of breaking the stalemate, it's as if an unseen hand moved everyone here from the shadows. The feeling is most unsettling. Lung Wuchang frowned in Zhuofan's direction, but what he saw was a tranquil and omniscient face. The emperor looked at their reaction and said, only an extraordinary person could have done this, that much is true. However, that does not give enough credence to make everyone here a suspect. Then, Holy Maiden, may I ask, who was the last person to see the high priest alive? Ah. Yun Xuang's eyes drifted to Zhuofan, and she continued after his nod. Your Majesty, it was the Luo clan steward, Zhuofan. SSS. The hall was filled with gasps, and all eyes turned to him. The emperor had just named him to be the best steward beneath heavens, and now he was involved in high priest's murder. What validated him more as a suspect was Dugu Zhantian's analysis. This brash kid has run amok even in the imperial capital. Who hadn't heard of Zhuofan's handiwork? Wherever he went, he left chaos in his wake. He feared nothing and killed anyone that even looked at him funny. A demon archon. Did he kill the high priest after a dispute? Funnily enough, everyone believed it. But to go as far as to kill the high priest painted a target on his back, making him the public enemy #1. All their gazes turned morose. The emperor demanded, "Was it you, Zhuo Fan?" "Was what me?" Zhuo Fan furrowed an eyebrow and smiled. "If your majesty is referring to the last person to visit High Priest, then yes, that would be me mostly. But if we were to jump to conclusions and state that the High Priest's killer and his last visitor were the same, that would be ill-advised. And how are you going to prove your innocence?" The emperor stared at him with a smirk. Zhuo Fan shrugged. "Easy, I have a rock-solid alibi. Me and the High Priest got along so well together that he saw me out and even gave me Miss Schwanger. Ever since I left the parish, I was always with Miss Schwanger. She is my first witness. Next would be the second prince, since he kidnapped us. And then he asked Miss Schwanger if he had the right. Fine, I get it. You're absolved." With a wave, Zhuo Fan's voice drifted off, and the emperor clenched his jaw in hatred. Zhuo Fan was clearly hanging the second prince's matter over his head. If the emperor let that matter come out, he'd be in even more of a mess. Then his thoughts drifted to his second son, asking Holy Maiden to ascertain his right to rule and his claim on the throne. But how could he let Zhuo Fan say that? With Zhuo Fan's cunning nature, he was sure Zhuo Fan would drag his son down with him, dragging the entire imperial family in these muddy waters. They would not only lose initiative, but it would be a miracle if they could wash this shame. The emperor wished he could snap his second son's neck. You just had to do that now. Glaring at Zhuo Fan, the emperor nodded. "Steward Zhuo, wise and brave, honest and upright. It is highly unlikely for you to have done this savage act." Zhuo Fan beamed back a calm smile. Zhuge Changfeng and Lung Wucheng snickered. Inside, the two were aware of the second prince's fiasco, all right, although not entirely. But Zhuo Fan, who was involved as a victim, had no qualms in pushing the emperor's buttons. The emperor is losing what little grip he has on the Luo clan. However, Zhuo Fan, was there anyone else in the parish before you left? Since Luo clan gave him the slip, the emperor moved to the next best thing. Regent estate. Zhuo Fan nodded. He was quite blunt about it, too. Estate Lord Huangpu Tianyuan and Sir Lung were guests there. And let me tell you, they weren't very friendly either. Huangpu Tianyuan and Lung Wucheng's faces sank. They were clear of their innocence, but feared Zhuo Fan and the emperor would join hands in dragging them in. The emperor lit up. The scamp finally got on point for once. He didn't get to enjoy barking at them, though, not while Zhuo Fan said. But after only raising their voices a bit, they left. At the door, they bumped into me, where they raised their voices at me for a time. Irrelevant. The emperor dissed him, but Zhuge Changfeng had a faint smile, raising his hand. "No, your majesty, it is very crucial. Regent estate is cleared of charges as well." "How?" The emperor shuddered. Zhuge Changfeng continued. "Your majesty, consider this." The two were furious, yet didn't strike the high priest even when oblivious to the fact that there was someone outside. To not attack at that time, thinking they're alone, it goes on to show that they never wanted him dead. They are ruled out. That's a fairly good point. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow, putting on the most innocent look he could muster. Zhuge Changfeng chuckled at his reaction. The emperor's eyebrows jumped in rage. He was livid. Try as he might, he couldn't find anything in his investigation to tie the rest of the people there to the case. He finished with telling them not to leave town. Zhuo Fan was walking outside when Lung Wucheng left Huangpu Tianyuan behind and approached with cupped hands. "Steward Zhuo, we may be enemies, but thank you for that." Zhuo Fan grinned at his meaning and deadpanned. "We are enemies, yes, but we also need to coexist. Besides, I didn't do it for you." "I know that, but one needs to give thanks when it's due, Steward Zhuo." "Ha ha ha. Since when have you two been so close?" As Lung Wucheng bowed, a cheerful laughter announced the coming of Zhuge Changfeng. "Oh, Prime Minister Zhuge, thank you as well." "It's nothing. Steward," Zhuo guided me. Zhuge Changfeng smiled. I picked up on Steward Zhuo's intention of helping the Regent estate when he recounted what happened at Parish and thought of lending Luo clan a hand. His Majesty's plan would have worked otherwise. Indeed, the emperor is using the high priest's death to summon the clans, an excuse to deal with the Luo clan and regent estate. Our houses may be strong, but the emperor took this chance to use the power of the court and to eradicate us both. This sudden development could have been the end of us. Zhua Fan squinted. Even with Luo clan in the clear and the regent estate becoming the patsy for murder, the emperor would have charged us to annihilate you, pitting us against each other. It drew every bit of power from the best steward beneath heaven's title the emperor bestowed upon me. I can't just bear the title and shirk responsibility now, can I? Ha ha ha. Steward Zhua is sharp as a tack, able to analyze the bigger picture with a glance. I approve. Zhuge Changfeng cupped his hands. Lung Wu Chang sighed with a nod. If we three pool our minds, no one could touch us, not even the emperor. What a shame. There's nothing to feel sorry about. With how lonely it is at the top, it'd be boring. Zhua Fan grinned, Zhuge Changfeng and Lung Wuchang laughed. Lamenting about the ill circumstances they met in interest made them enemies, but that didn't stop respect from forming. And now that they had worked together like clockwork to fight off the court, they felt like old friends. How often did one find a person after his own heart? What do you guys think? Who killed the high priest in the end? Zhuge Changfeng asked Zhua Fan, and Lung Wuchang exchanged a smile. Do you need to ask? It all became clear the instant the emperor asked me who else had been at Parish. When everything is said and done, the imperial capital is still in the hands of the imperial family. The others saw the wisdom in his words and nodded, their hearts clear of all doubts. Chapter 378, Shadows Descend. Chapter 378, Shadows Descend. Elite Coder, the fourth pillar, Shadow Guard's Captain Shadow King, answers directly to His Majesty. He may even be around us right now. Zhuge Changfeng's eyes shone. Zhua Fan and Lung Wuchang nodded. Zhua Fan had heard of this Shadow King. Unlike the first three pillars, the fourth was very secretive and never left a trace, secretive to the point that only the emperor in all of Tianyu knew his face, coming and leaving like a shade, worthy of being called just that, Steward Zhua. A charming voice caught Zhua Fan's attention. Yun Shuang rushed towards him in worry as she pleaded. Xiao Dongzi and the others are in danger. Please save them. Zhua Fan knew that she was talking about her clan on its way to Blackwind Mountain. But how did she know they're in danger? Yun Shuang answered his thoughts. Intuition. Holy Maiden can read fate, so her intuitions must be true. Zhuge Changfeng nodded. Zhua Fan sighed. Then I'll go take a look outside the imperial capital. Gents, please see that Miss Shuang arrives at the Luo clan safely. Ha ha ha, nothing to worry about. Lung Wuchang and Zhuge Changfeng smiled. Lung Wuchang frowned though. Is Steward going to fight his way out of the sealed imperial capital? Ha ha ha, you're quite shrewd. I'm not that stupid to give the emperor an excuse. Laughing, Zhua Fan's right eye flashed golden, and he poofed out of existence. Lung Wuchang praised. Zhua Fan is a true freak with freaky skills to boot. If he wants to leave town, no one will know. Ha ha ha, so true. How else would you have suffered at his tricks? Zhuge Changfeng nodded. Lung Wuchang flushed. He gave Huangpu Tianyuan a word, then fulfilled his promise of escorting Yun Shuang to the Luo clan with Zhuge Changfeng. While he was at it, he made sure to investigate the Yun clan and Luo clan's ties. He learnt that the high priest left Yun Shuang in Zhua Fan's care. To even assist him, Lung Wuchang and Zhuge Changfeng shared a look and realized the high priest's cause of death. He crossed the line. What still eluded them, though, was why the high priest was willing to give his life for the Luo clan. Oh, we're here. Thank you so much for escorting me. Yun Shuang bowed deeply. The two returned the gesture. Then Lung Wuchang asked, Miss Yun Shuang, what will you be doing with the high priest's body? Oh, as gratitude for His Majesty's favor. Grandfather will be laid to rest in the imperial cemetery. Yun Shuang spoke. Subdued. Lung Wuchang sighed. As it should be, although will the high priest ever rest knowing his enemy will pose at his funeral, all to look good in front of the people? What? Yun Shuang shuddered. Sir Lung, what did you say? Oh, did I speak out too loud? Ha ha ha, sorry. I was only mumbling to myself. Just take it as if it never happened. Lung Wuchang played the fool. Yun Shuang frowned. There's no way. I clearly heard you say enemy. Do you know who killed my grandfather? Please tell me. Yun Shuang looked at him in tears. Holding Lung Wuchang's arm, Lung Wuchang gave her a long look, but removed her hands with a sigh. Forgive me, but I know nothing. It's best if you ask Steward Zhua. Lung Wuchang turned away, yet glee danced in his and Zhuge Chongfeng's eyes when they met. Leaving with one final bow, Yun Shuang just stood there dazed, muttering to herself. Ask Steward Zhua, does he know who killed grandfather? After Lung Wuchang caught up, Zhuge Chongfeng shook his head. Sir Lung, that wasn't very nice of you. Zhua Fan helped you in the court, yet now you are leaving him with a headache. With the Yun clan and Luo clan's close relationship, if Yun clan causes trouble, Luo clan will be dragged into it. Ha ha ha. Oh please, Prime Minister Zhuge, didn't Zhua Fan say we're only saving our own skin? And we're still enemies, aren't we? I'm sure he would have done the same thing if he were me. With how everything's a stalemate, there will be someone who'll stir the water, no matter how much neither of us wants to be the one in the limelight. And since someone has stirred up the pot, we all have much to look forward to, don't we? Zhuge Chongfeng's eyes shone with joy as well. Meanwhile, 20 miles out of the imperial capital, a throng of thousands of people was marching towards Wingay City. Li Jingtian and the power couple were hovering above, ensuring their safety among the cooling breeze and the sun glaring through the mountains. This trip felt like a scenic rout. It was then that the wind came down fast and hard, stirring the birds. The entire sky turned black in seconds. Then came the wails, grating at people's minds. Humph, they're finally here! Li Jingtian snickered, and his knuckles cracked, his eyes shining in excitement. A martial fanatic would start feeling moody if he didn't get his daily dose of brawl. Qiuyanhai and Xue Qingjian showed a wide grin as well. Fire and ice spread as they looked up at the encroaching darkness. Wu. The howling of ghosts announced the incoming black figures descending in droves. They all wore black armor and black helmets that hid their faces. Only the thin slits in those helmets showed heavy gazes, the only sight in this world of black and shuddering cold. They were not human, but closer to Asuras from hell, with each of them wielding a 1/2 meter long curved blade. The image of demons was further engraved in the hearts of men swallowing dryly. The mass of people fell back, although they had the numbers. These hundreds of black men released such an icy chill that it crumbled any notion of resistance. Li Jingtian frowned. These profound heaven experts aren't normal. They're about to act. Be careful. TCH, what can some weirdo profound heaven experts do? I refuse to believe there is a second freak like Zhua Fan on this earth. Xue Qingjian snickered and shot forth. Qiuyanhai was right behind her. Only Li Jingtian just stood there, affixed on these interlopers' movements. Look out! It's the Luo clan's ice and fire lords! The calm voice turned everyone in black armor serious. They held their curved blades ready, the blue glint on their tips indicating poison, on top of being a 4th-grade spiritual weapon. Of course, not that Xue Qingjian had a mind to care. With a laugh, she shot a white ray from her handbang. Dozens of black men were encased in one huge iceberg then and there, and the subsequent explosion made sure only pieces of them were left. The black army fell back 2 steps, making Xue Qingjian laugh harder. What did I tell you? They're only profound heaven. They're not worth a single blow. Qiuyanhai laughed as well, sucking up to his bossy lass. Lady's gaze is so sharp, seeing their bluff with one look. Unlike that scaredy cat, old Li, less than even a woman. He shot a fire dragon, resulting in an explosion that turned another batch of dozen black guys to ashes. Xue Qingjian covered up her sweet and charming giggle. Yun clan eased up, knowing their safety was in the hands of 3 bodyguards. They will safeguard their journey to their new haven. Li Jingtian twitched, ticked off by the happy couple. Yet he just couldn't shake the feeling that these black guys were not the pushovers like they looked in confirmation to his suspicions. The black guys watched their own teammates fall like flies. Yet all they did was to be on guard as endless crackling commenced. The three elders watched in horror as the bloody pieces of bodies Shuet Qingjian blew up, shook with a sinister energy signature. The pieces let out a black smoke. Each black mass forming a humanoid shadow. The shadows reassembled as each of them picked up their curved blade. And just like when they arrived, they released the same creepy snicker.